This is Dave Burkett from the Detroit Free Press, and you're listening to Out of Bounds Detroit Sports.
SportsRadioDetroit.com.
We don't need TV to entertain us. He said anus.
I like
Very
it.
well said.
I like
Your
it a lot.
beard is still incredible.
It is. It's getting to that level of like.
Majestic, almost.
I'm excited about it now. I've finally reached that level that I'm proud of it.
My beard is so gross right now. It's like I have pubes just glued to my face.
When the fuck did you have long black hair?
Basically, almost all the specs I have.
You did not. You did have long black. You look like Ringo Starr.
I look so stupid. Smells like Cypress Hill concert in here.
I think Shakira is incredibly attractive. I think her music's terrible.
It's just yodeling. It's yodeling.
Leo, 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 Leo.
Oh, yeah. Welcome. Out of Bounds Detroit Sports. We've got a skeleton crew this evening. We got a full rack of folks here. Rack? That was the wrong word.
Yeah.
Slab?
What are we, ribs?
I was going to say, I think we're some sort of meat now.
David Faze, Jeff Mel, Mike Tripp, myself, Dan Griffin. We are all here. I don't really know why, but we are.
Oh. Because I can't be here Thursday.
In fact, I just realized something.
That's why.
You can't be here Thursday.
No.
I didn't even realize that. I thought you just wanted to come hang out for a Monday show.
No.
I did just realize something, though. I don't know if Mike's mic is working.
Hello.
It's not working. I feel like we may. Is the switch turned on?
Yeah, it is.
Oh. I feel like we might have switched an XLR cable somewhere.
Yeah, we have.
And that might be why it's not working.
This one's loose as a goose.
I have another one somewhere. It's right here.
No, I would say I think it's just not plugged in.
Yeah, what do you got plugged in? That's
What's plugged into for? Is this me? We're just having a show meeting right now. I'm trying to figure out. Nope.
No, it's not you.
We got to figure out where the hell this XLR is going, because it's not going to Mike's mic.
It's not me. I don't know what mic that is or what that is.
We could just start the show over if you guys want.
No.
I mean, we're not on Facebook Live or anything.
We'll do it live.
Did you find it?
This is Mike's. 4 is Mike's.
Hello.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, shit. It's working. I'm on.
It just wasn't working properly.
Just need a little twist.
Need a little love.
I couldn't remember because the last time we used that mic, Abe was here.
Yeah, I think so.
And that was a while ago.
Yeah, someone else
can't
got
remember.
shot.
Is Abe typically loud or quiet?
I don't remember.
I don't remember. If you have to turn him way up.
He's a Jew, so he's kind of loud.
I don't know what that.
Not only is he a Jew, he's a Jewish cop.
It just means he's really nasally.
I don't know what that means. He'll be able to tell you.
Yeah, I'm sure he's listening.
He may be. I don't know. Abe, do you still listen to the show? If you do, drop us a line on Facebook.
I haven't heard from him in a while.
Where the hell has he been? It's because Abe in Southfield just disappears off the face of the earth for like months at a time.
I think his wife may have killed him. You never know.
No, you say that and we laugh, but we probably shouldn't. I mean, even though Abe carries a firearm for a living, I wouldn't put it past his wife.
I mean, he doesn't carry it when
he's not going to shoot her.
He doesn't carry it when he sleeps.
I don't think.
Call me sir, God damn it!
Or showers.
Anyway, we are invading your ear hole as always. God, I just keep dropping this fucking. This has been a rough start to a show.
Yeah.
On sportsradiodetroit.com, Apple Podcasts, or wherever the hell you listen to podcasts. And please leave us a rating and review. Please go to sportsradiodetroit.com. Check out all the other wonderful content. I don't know if Abe still has a show, but there are other shows available, and it just keeps expanding. I feel like every week, Roger's putting in the Facebook group. We got a new show. We got a new person. Am I accurate with that?
It seems that way.
It does.
Yeah.
It just keep the growth. The growth is exponential, at Sports Radio Detroit.
Yeah.
Whatever you need, it's available.
Before we could say all the shows.
Yeah, now I can't even.
There was 4 shows. You could say them right all in the beginning. Check out, Keese and the Mitten and the Road Show, and that was about it, And then now there's 40 shows.
Now check out Ray and Pete.
I pay attention, but I still have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good thing. It's a good thing that we don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot going
There's
on.
live stuff now.
Movie reviews,
hockey games, and
you just spend the rest of your life on sportsradiodetroit.com. You never need to go anywhere else. It's all there for you. It's all available.
That's all I do.
We just need political shows, and we'll be all set.
Yep.
I don't know if Roger and Ben want to go that route.
No, that seems like a stretch.
We're
probably the most political show on in the entire network. Maybe the Fanarchy.
Is there anything? Yeah, but they're the. I think the way Keese put it to me is that the Road Show is the suburbs. I can't remember what the fuck he said, but he compared it to I think he said the Road Show is the suburbs, we're the city, and then Fanarchy is the slums or something like that.
Projects.
That's the way Keese put it to me. He'd be able to put it to you, but you go listen to a show. Just go listen to Fanarchy. It's available right here at sportsradiodetroit.com. That was the longest plug we've ever given the network.
Yeah,
Roger, I hope you appreciate that. I'm sure he does.
And we got the bracket coming up.
We do. That's right. We've got the Detroit female personality brackets coming up. It's that time of year. I don't know when the hell we're going to be able to do it. To get together and seed these ladies.
I don't know. We'll figure it out.
But there's a lot of new talent out there.
A lot of new talent. A lot of wonderful, talented, nice women.
You've been looking into it, haven't you?
I haven't looked at it at all.
Okay. Who won? Who was it that won last year?
It was Heather Park.
No.
It was Eric Erickson, wasn't it?
No, that was 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
It was one. It was the radio gal.
It wasn't Andrews. It was,
Jamie.
Fuck.
What the hell was her name? I don't remember. We're doing a really good job of repping that bracket, aren't we?
Hey, Dan and I don't remember. We helped seed the damn thing.
We did. We helped.
I
seed
did
it.
not. I was not part of that.
I think we're going to cut that part out of the show. We're going to fix that in post.
It's been a while. It's been a year.
I was going to say, wasn't there a bot in it last year? That's
right.
There
Yeah,
was.
it fucked everything up.
Yeah, the site got so crazy with hits that a bot shut the whole thing down. For
Was the bot making votes for Lauren Jabara? Is that who was that who the bot was?
There was a couple. I think it was basically a guy who just wanted his chicks to win, and he just put a bot on all the chicks he wanted to win, and they were just getting hundreds of votes an hour.
Good for him.
I still think we need a minority winner.
Glenda was in the Final Four, was she not?
Did she win?
That doesn't matter. This is a place of equality, Dan.
Typical white privilege.
Everyone
here, Jeff Mel.
Anyone can win as long as their merits proves to be.
No, affirmative fucking action.
I'm going to say this real quick. By the way,
we need a minority winner.
Jackie Page.
Oh, did she won it?
That was who won it.
That's right.
Jackie Page.
That's right.
Did you look it up?
No,
I
just finally remembered it.
I was about to look it up.
I said Jamie, and it triggered my memory that it was not Jamie. It was indeed Jackie. Jackie Page.
We got there, so we don't need to fix that in post anymore?
Nope.
All right, we're good to go.
It was over a year ago, so.
This is a free balling show, guys. We're free balling because we all walked in the door about, 15 minutes ago. And we're doing it. We're finally doing it. We're sitting in front of the microphones, and we're just going to start talking shit. So where do we want to start?
Can I throw another random thing out there? Has nothing to do with anything?
Whatever.
It's
it's
not
just
gonna
as
talk
much
about
your
it.
show as it is mine, Dave.
So apparently, I think I might have mentioned this before, like a month ago. There is a JUCO school down in, I believe, Missouri that has taken on both Demetric Vance and Donnie Corley. Okay. Apparently, that same JUCO has now taken on
It's a
one
bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
has now taken on one Josh King. So they took all three of the guys involved in that sexual assault scandal because I think that's going to work out well.
And it wasn't East Mississippi.
No.
I'm surprised.
Who in their fucking right mind is going to do that? Why would you do that?
A JUCO school.
But
a JUCO school in Buttfucksville, Alabama.
You take one guy, I understand you're trying to redeem. You take two guys, I still think it's a little iffy, but maybe you go, okay, we can at least work with that. But you're gonna take all fucking three, including the one who right now, with the legal process still going, has the chance to spend like 15 years in prison. Great. Sounds like a really good idea.
I'll take a chance on him.
All right, cool. I would not.
Sometimes people make mistakes.
That's not the kind of mistake I'm giving second chances on. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it appears that
Sorry.
it was Jabara and Jackie Page in the finals last year. She eked her out by over 100.
I'm sure Jabaro. I'm sure they'll both be in there again this year. We'll get them both back in there.
Yep. Oh, Martinick was the one that got beat out by Jabara. Close margins.
You going back in the Wayback Machine over there, Jeff?
I am.
That's what we do on a free balling type show.
Jillian Riley went really far. That's who you were talking about, Dave. The radio chick. What are you doing? Free balling it?
Yeah, we're free balling tonight.
Have you seen any of Carlos Menares' articles lately?
He has lost his mind.
Because I've been really sitting on this for like, I don't know, a week and a half, just watching the utter shit roll in that he's been putting out. It's not like it's a slow news
Doesn't
time.
he do that goofy podcast in the middle of a library with Burkett every other week or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, but Burkett is just so the realist, and Menares. I think the soul of Drew Sharp jumped into Carlos Menares.
It's so. And by the way,
what the hell happened there?
Berkey's blowing us off.
Yeah.
We've been trying to get a hold of Burkett for 2 weeks now. He doesn't want to come out and talk about Matt Patricia. Maybe he's upset.
Menares.
I think maybe he's a little tired of talking to Matt Patricia at this point.
Berkey, where are you?
That could be.
We need you.
Yeah, it's very strange. Like,
Because we have all this respect for Dave Burkett. We have him on the show all the time.
it's like
and Carlos is just I don't
have a lack of respect for Carlos.
lost
I just
his
don't get it. I don't get it.
no, the soul of Drew Sharp flew into Carlos Menares.
It has to have.
What was the question he asked Patricia that was fucking retarded at the?
Are you going to win a Super
I'm
Bowl
sorry,
this year?
Stu, I'm not going to. Oh, is that what he said?
Was that the question? That was one of them.
It was along those lines. It's just like
No coach will ever answer that question.
And then the week before that, he writes an article talking about how the Lions need to trade for Tom Brady.
Yep.
And I thought it had to be satire.
Yep. And it's not.
It was totally
and then, like,
real.
and then like the headline was something, or like the caption on like the Facebook post or on Twitter, it was like, "No, seriously, read it. He makes some points or something along those lines." And I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
My God, you throw like a blind baby waving bye-bye.
It's just like, let's trade for a 40-year-old Tom Brady.
You know, he writes all kinds of these weird articles. Like,
What's the latest?
like, okay, here's an article that's very strange to me. When will Lions dethrone NFC North bullies? They went 5-1 in the division this year.
ever shut the fuck up?
All right, they went 5-1 in the division. They had no problem in the division this year, mostly because of Aaron Rodgers. But still,
And the Bears being bad, and you getting very fortunate against the Vikings early in the season.
yeah. I mean, he just writes things that I'm trying to look at some of this.
Wait, do you mean lucky that you got them early in the season, or literally lucky in the game? Because I don't think they got lucky in the game.
I think
They beat him soundly in both games. They just didn't have Aaron Rodgers.
The Vikings.
The
You're
Vikings.
talking about the Vikings.
Yeah.
I don't think
Lucky in the
they got
first game.
lucky.
If
in the
Adam
first
Thielen
game.
doesn't cough up the football at the end of that game,
That was a forced fumble.
yeah, he coughed it up.
Any fumble is a cough up.
And
Someone's got to
here's
create
the thing.
the fumble.
The Lions were playing pretty well at that point,
why
and the
Bob-
Vikings hadn't fully gotten in their rhythm yet. Agreed?
Why Bob Quinn's hire of Patricia is unoriginal?
Yeah, that one I loved.
Like,
it was great.
What is an original hire? Going and hiring some QB coach from Arizona that nobody's ever heard of?
Did you read the article?
Not
At all?
No.
Okay, well I can tell you I did, because I'm like, what the fuck is he talking about?
We have actual audio from Matt Patricia following Carlos Monarez's question at the press conference on Wednesday.
Are there any real questions?
Basically, by what I took out of that was like that he thinks at that point you'd have to go, well, then you must have thought Chip Kelly was an original hire.
Yeah.
Like that was a really cool, flashy thing to do.
Yeah.
And
I just don't,
why?
I just don't get it.
What makes them?
Oh, my bad.
What makes them any different? There were two first-time head NFL coaches, right? The one problem that we have all the time, we talk about not just with the Lions, we talk about across the league, is how much retread shit goes on,
and here's
right?
the other thing too. I think there are certain aspects of writers that, especially when you cover the Lions, you are just digging for something negative, and I feel like I have the right to say that because I often do that on this show.
I feel the exact opposite. You don't have to dig for anything negative.
But here's the thing: it's one or the it's one. You're one or the other when you're a Lions writer in this town. It's either always sunshine and rainbows, or it's always bleak death.
Unless you're Dave Burkett and you come up with really good stuff.
Well, that's why Dave Burkett's one of the best in the league.
Because he digs deep and finds things that are interesting and tidbits that nobody else finds.
And he also writes stories.
Yeah.
He doesn't write clickbait. Should the Lions trade Stafford for Brady?
I did feel bad for him during all the Patricia hoopla before the official announcement, because obviously you can't write anything official about him. Like this is what he's going to bring to the team, because he was digging up so many old stories, and you're like, I actually felt bad. I'm like, at a certain point, he's got to be sitting there going like, this is what I'm writing right now. This is what I got to write. But he at least wrote a story, and it's a lot harder to do that than to just write some sort of opinion piece that you're going to say whatever you feel like. Burkett had to find actual news things to write about, and it was a little difficult.
I don't know why the hell Burkett doesn't get out of here and go write for a real team.
Because it's just
he's got kids and he lives here and doesn't want to open his family.
I get it.
Because he's not a fan and it's just a job.
Yeah,
that's
true.
why.
It's true.
That'd be like if I moved to L.A., started covering the Rams. I'd be like, this is just a job. I'm not a fan of L.A. I'm not a fan of the Rams.
Well, you do love you some Jared Goff.
Sure.
He's a handsome young man. Had a nice year. Let's see what happens.
I don't know. I think
had a nice year. He just fucking killed it.
I think his head coach is doing a little better for himself than
Jared Goff.
Oh my God, his wife is so hot.
And it's not even his wife. I don't know.
Oh, it's not.
No, he's playboying around right now.
Oh, that's awesome. Sean McVay. If you haven't looked up Sean McVay's
that guy not lived a life.
Girlfriend, I guarantee you, his girlfriend is hotter than any girlfriend anybody on the team.
In a totally different way than Matt Patricia, he has a magnificent beard. By the way, McVay.
Yeah,
I mean that thing is pristine.
You saying that because it looks like yours?
No, it does not look like mine at all.
The lines,
they're so clean.
Straighter lines.
They're so clean
on a beard than on Sean McVay's beard.
Dude's got the beard grooming down.
That son of a bitch gets done having sex with his hot girlfriend,
and then trims his beard up.
He doesn't even bother to put pants on. He just puts on some boxer shorts and takes a stroll down to the barber shop, gets a straight razor every day, maybe sometimes twice a day.
That guy's living the dream. 32 years old,
king of the Coliseum,
hot model girlfriend.
Hey, Mike, are you looking at Sean McVay's girlfriend?
No, he is.
Yeah, he goes down to the barbershop. He goes, Chuck, give me the I just got laid cut, please.
Give me the McVay.
Yeah, can you give me? I'll take the McVay. I'll get the McVay.
Not the Timothy. Not the Timothy.
Yeah, we'll take the McVay. That's a lot more hard.
Yeah, she real nice.
Isn't she nice? Yeah, she looks like a nice young lady.
But yeah,
looks like a type of girl I'd take home to mom and dad.
You look at Burkett's stuff, and all Burkett's stuff was like, at least he was like letting you get to know the coach that's about to be the Lions head coach.
This is Dave Burkett from the Detroit Free Press.
Which gives you ideas of like how he is and how smart he is and who you think he could be, and gives you an idea of like, all right, this guy makes sense as a hire, right? Because he's smart. He's, learn from the best. He's gonna do things his own way. All those great things that you would want out of a new head coach.
Then you got his partner,
then
Carlos, rolling out there.
Trade for one more year in the league, Tom Brady, and
oh my God,
and it's just like the.
I feel like Carlos is walking around his house with his underwear on his head.
Yeah, right.
I don't know what happened to this guy.
Just absolutely ridiculous.
He's one of those guys. It's like
he didn't used to be this way.
I know that.
Yeah.
He's one of these. He's one of these guys that's like that's overly digging for the negative. Because who am I not the most cynical Lions person that either of you guys associate with?
Yes, probably yes.
That you associate with on a regular basis. Okay, I look at Matt Patricia and I see a lot of things that are so much different.
Yeah.
And so unique compared to any other hire that I have seen since I started giving a shit about the Lions.
I agree.
Gary Moeller and Wayne Fonts.
Yeah, no retreads. You're not hiring 85-year-old Rod Marinelli.
There's a plan.
Yeah.
Bob Quinn got his guy that he's on the same page with. Clearly, it could blow up in our faces, and they could both be fired in 3 years.
They both could be terrible.
Absolutely could be a possibility.
Yeah, they both could be terrible.
But that is so much different than anything we've ever seen before.
Exactly. You just got random guys just hiring random,
By the way, did anybody else notice how much different, and it obviously makes complete sense, but how much different the feel was for this press conference and the press conference for Jim Caldwell?
Oh, yeah.
Because this was a hire that the franchise and the people in charge of making that hire were really proud of.
And the fans, too.
Yeah.
And it was a hire that everybody liked.
When you had Jim Caldwell coming in, the entire, and the thing, like the organization knew it, that the entire fan base was like, oh, well, way to get your second fiddle, the guy that you just had to settle for because you couldn't get the guy you wanted. And that's the thing. That's the scary part about that hire to me. When you go look back on it, it's like the franchise knew how terribly the fans felt about the hire from the minute that it happened. And you can't get that back.
He ended up getting two more years than he should have gotten.
Yeah,
Jim Caldwell.
Right. Yeah, I mean he did, and I've said this before. He did some things for the franchise as a whole that were good. He got things righted. He had the locker room in a good shape, and these are things that are good, and they're important to making an organization better. But he wasn't a good enough football coach, and that's what he's there for.
And the way I look at it is like you've seen levels over the last few years. You had Schwartz.
I was going to say I probably give more credit to where the franchise sits today to Schwartz. Than
he dug him out of the hole.
He did,
right, and then Caldwell, got his hands up on the grass of the grave.
He kept him in limbo.
Pulling the team back up. So now, at least your head is somewhat above the grave. Now Patricia's got to pull you out of the grave.
Now, but here's the thing. I don't know that I agree with that when it comes to Jim Caldwell.
Did he make the playoffs, twice?
I don't care how many times
just
he made
once.
the playoffs. I don't care how many times he
twice.
made the playoffs.
Twice.
Doesn't
2011.
Yeah, Cowboys
I'm sorry,
and Seahawks.
2014 and 2016.
Cowboys and Seahawks.
Twice in 4 years, but it doesn't matter. I look at the Jim Caldwell era as just complete purgatory. It was nothing more than purgatory.
I can definitely see that
because that's where the Lions are. That's where they've been, and in this league, that's not how it works.
Like
you're either good or you're bad, or you're getting good or you're getting bad.
You probably could have done equally the same if you just had kept Jim Schwartz for the next 4 years.
Probably, especially after Ndamukong Suh was gone.
Yeah, you probably could have been pretty equal to what Jim Schwartz could have done about the same as what Jim Caldwell.
Hey, you want to take a look back at that gift that Ndamukong Suh gave us by taking off from Miami?
Oh, I know. Jeez.
Got us out of helped start getting us out of salary cap hell that we were in.
Certainly got Ndamukong's best years.
I mean, think about this too. Think about imagining 2 years ago, and again, this is also a testament to Quinn of not signing a bunch of bad contracts. In fact, we've said multiple times how the extensions he's signed so far have been great, really, like financially, really good decisions. But look at the cap space they have now. They're like they're in the top 10 of the league. They're like number 7 in the entire league in cap space.
And I'm really interested to see. I'm really more towards the scheme and stuff. I've seen that Patriots defense a million times.
Sure.
So I have an idea what they're going to do, right? And I have an idea of how he can develop players by watching him just take, the bum of Kyle Van Noy and turning him into,
Because you know what he did? He did exactly what he says, and I fully believe he will do here, which is he's not going to try to pigeonhole a guy into a scheme that doesn't work for him. He's going to build a scheme around the players, and that's what a coach is supposed to do.
That's my whole point. Is what I was getting to was I can't wait to see what he does personnel-wise.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of guys does he re-sign? What kind of guys does he let walk? What kind of guys does he bring in? What kind of players does he draft?
What leads me to believe, and that's exactly the thing that leads me to believe before he's even coached a game.
Yeah.
Which, I'm not ready. I'm not going to make a prediction on how good of a tenure Matt Patricia is going to have. But if I've got to lean one direction, one thing that I look at is what a novel concept. Let's tailor our system to our players instead of trying to build a roster to tailor a system.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think with Kyle Van Noy it was a little different. It was more like they had a bunch of square pegs, and Kyle Van Noy was a triangle.
Well, they
drafted him knowing he was a triangle, knowing that there was a square hole.
And that's the thing.
Trying to force him in there.
They asked him to play off the ball. Which is not what he's ever done. He never did that in college, ever.
Came down the line.
And they asked him to play off the ball, back in coverage, which is not a strength. That's why he looked so bad. When you're asking a guy to do something he's never done, even if he's a good football player, these guys get comfortable in a certain job, in a certain role. And if you try to unless they're the absolute elite of the elite, and obviously those guys can make things work because they're just really special.
Not every guy is Von
but
Miller,
not every guy is that exactly. Not every guy is like that.
It doesn't mean he's not good. Like I look at a guy like that's basically what you were getting at. I look at a guy like one of Mike's boyfriends, Clay Matthews. I look at Clay Matthews and I go, if Clay Matthews were put in the same position that Kyle Van Noy was put in, Clay Matthews would probably still be a pretty good player.
Yeah, he's a little better player, a little better athlete.
But he can't cover shit either.
No, that's true.
He used to be able to.
He is a pass
better
rush,
than he does now.
He is a pass rush linebacker.
Yeah.
That's all he was ever supposed to be. And if he had come into a system like in Detroit, he probably still would have been an okay player, but he wouldn't be fucking Clay Matthews.
Yeah, because he wouldn't be coming off the edge.
He wouldn't be Thor.
But see, that's also the fun part about Patricia is knowing that defenses. I know he's going to get whatever players he's going to mix it up, and you're going to get all kinds of fun looks. He loves the blitz. He loves to disguise coverages like crazy. He loves to fool. He loves that. It's almost like he's calling offensive plays on defense.
And the other thing about a guy who is obviously coming from a defensive background, he's not coming onto a Bear roster. I mean, it's not like this team needs an overhaul, right? I mean, they have some. We know this. They have some playmakers, especially in the defensive backfield now. Obviously, you've got Darius Slay, who's a top, I think, 5 to 7 corner in the NFL, right? You've got a guy who I think is just starting to tap the surface of what he can be now. I think they found a position for him, which is Quandre Diggs.
I think Darius Slay could scratch the surface of a top 5 corner.
I think you're correct. And Glover Quinn is the ultimate professional. He's one of the more underrated players in the league. I truly believe he is an underrated player because he doesn't get talked about the same way that even another guy in his division, who again I understand is really really good in Harrison Smith, is fantastic. And Harrison Smith gets a lot of cred, rightfully so. But Glover Quinn does not get anywhere near the national pub that Harrison Smith does, and Glover Quinn's a pretty goddamn good safety.
Yeah, he is. It's just Harrison Smith.
They're both about the same age.
No, Harrison's younger.
Yeah,
Harrison's
like a year or two.
Neither of them are spring chickens.
Harrison Smith also can lay the boom. I think that's why he gets a lot of love.
He is a little bit. He's more of a
way bigger
all around safety, I guess. Yeah, he's.
He
looks
looks like a linebacker. That
he does.
Safety.
He totally does. But look, obviously the biggest thing and the biggest decisions I think that are going to have to be made by the Lions right away are going to be on the defensive line. You got to decide what you're doing with Ziggy. And you got to decide, I think, and not quite as big, but another big guy. You got to decide what you're doing with Nada.
Because we've talked about Ziggy, and it's like, okay, do you pay him all this money? Do you bring him back? He certainly hasn't earned.
I think he's getting franchised.
He certainly hasn't earned a giant contract. I think we can all agree with that.
No, not a giant one.
Right.
But then you look at, okay, we got Matt Patricia coming in. What difference does he make for Ziggy Ansah?
That's exactly why. That, along with the fact there's not really a whole lot of other pass rush help if you let him leave. I think he's going to get franchised. I think that's honestly probably the smartest, most prudent way to handle it.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
You got the cap space
Plenty
to do
of it. Yeah.
Make him put him on a 1-year deal. Say, Ziggy, go out there and earn your money.
Yeah,
I don't know. Go out there and get me double fucking digit sacks.
Because what does it hurt you if you pay him that 17 point whatever it is this year, and then he goes out and has a monster season, and then you re-sign him to a longer term deal next year? Fine. Okay, fine.
Then he's earned his franchise tag and he's earned a new contract.
Exactly.
I will say this though. I don't think the defense is the worry here necessarily.
5 of your 6 top players that are going to be free agents are all on the defense. You have Ansah, Tavon Wilson, who's been very good.
I don't think he's going to be brought back, actually.
Tahir Whitehead, Haloti Ngata, and Nevin Lawson.
And I'll tell you the reason why I don't think that Wilson is coming back is because of Quandre Diggs. I think Quandre Diggs is the guy moving forward now. He played really well.
Bring back Ziggy. Get Nada on a cheap 1-year deal.
Which is all it's going to be. And I mean, the only way I could see them really not re-signing Nada, because I think he'd be a perfect fit, because the Patriots, obviously, in years past, have seemed to always like to have a big nose tackle, and he's perfect for that. The only way I could see him not coming back is if some other team comes in and offers him some ridiculous contract.
He said he wanted to
Quinn's not going to pay him.
That won't happen.
That won't happen. So
I doubt it. Yeah.
They probably will re-sign him to maybe like a 1-year deal with a second-year option.
Still got to draft another guy too.
And then you draft another guy, and then you rotate him. That's like the best way I see it, is because then you can keep a healthy Nada, put him out there when it matters.
We'll see what happens in the draft, but I mean they're going to have a lot of options. But I'll tell you what, one guy, if he falls there, who wouldn't be a bad get is Vita V from Washington. He's going to be your next. He's a prototypical run-stuffing, big, huge nose tackle that that could come in here and play for you for 10 years.
We haven't even gotten to the concern, if there's a concern, and that's the other side of the goddamn football.
Running back?
Well,
offensive lineman.
Why don't we start with the offensive coordinator, perhaps?
I don't mind the offensive coordinator.
Because here's the thing. We're never going to know whether or not Jim Bob Cooter, quote-unquote, came with the job. But Matt Patricia's saying all the right things. He interviewed Jim Bob. He's worked with people that have worked with Jim Bob. He likes Jim Bob, so he decided to bring him back onto his staff. But here's the concern. I think Jim Bob Cooter does a really nice job with quarterbacks. I think he's done a really nice job with Matthew Stafford.
I think he's done a decent job with the passing game, too. I think that's
the
fine.
receivers.
I think that kind of goes hand in hand.
I guess.
However, you got to find a way to run the ball. You got to find a way to run the ball, both with talent in the backfield, with improvement on the offensive line.
Sure.
Which, okay, I get it. There were some injuries, but there were also some really bad moves with regards to that offensive line this year. And you got to find a way to scheme that shit. And I think that's something that is not talked about enough, and that's Jim Bob Cooter's inability to scheme his running game.
Well, I just personally, I get where you're going with that. This is just my opinion. I could be completely wrong if I were to look at the tape of the running game the whole year, but honestly, I don't think it's a scheme problem at all. I just think if you don't have the horses to pull the cart, you're not going to pull the cart.
It was a very predictable running scheme.
Well, I do think offensive line coaching might have had a bit of an issue. That's probably why he was the only guy who was actually fired outside of Caldwell.
Not only that, when you got guys like Cleary and who's the other guy, the tackle Barclay.
Yeah, dude. Barclay was the guard, the old guy, and then
when you got guys like that, you have to keep it simple because they're just coming off the bench every week. They're not premier players. They're not. You can't run you need an offensive line that's played together at least a season to run advanced.
But you also have
schemes.
To consider the fact that and
then on top of that, they're not very good.
TJ had himself a nice year run or pass blocking, but wasn't exactly lighting the world on fire in the running game. You brought in Rick Wagner, who, for all intents and purposes, given what he was brought in to do, Rick Wagner was awful.
He wasn't very good.
He had a very poor year. He really did. Yeah.
So you paid,
and I think he'll tell you that firsthand.
You paid the right side of your line all this money to do almost nothing. I don't know how much of it is scheme and how much of it is the fact that these guys can't play.
I got to tell you this too. I'm going to pinpoint one guy, and I gave him a lot of credit last year for having a really good, I guess I'll call it a bounce back year, and then he reverted back to what he was early on, and that's a big reason why he's going to be gone, and that's Travis Swanson. Travis Swanson was abysmal this year.
Yeah,
really, really bad.
I'll take my chances with Graham Glasgow.
And you got to admit, as much as each player has to do their part, the way that a line works, so much of what happens is geared around what the center's job is and what he calls as in terms of making the line move. And Travis Swanson was so bad. When your center, literally and figuratively, is not effectively doing their job, it makes everybody else's job that so much harder.
He should have put on a Matador cap and had a cape on.
And you're going into your third year of your big, talented, athletic left tackle.
Yeah, and you missed him for 8 games.
Yeah.
That sucked. Yeah. That was terrible. You didn't have anybody
even
close to capable.
Yeah, he's finally getting
What the fuck is going on?
He's finally getting into the groove, and now you're fighting for a playoff spot. It's just tough on a player like that. But we'll see. I'm just interested in what Patricia does in these next off-season few months.
Let me say this. There's been some mixed reviews, both from analysts and national people and from some of the local people and what they find out about the new offensive line coach, Jeff Davidson. He's got a lot of experience. He's been in the game a long time. And there were some people that were commenting on, there was a couple seasons where he was the offensive coordinator for Carolina. And the offense is there, and people were concerned about the fact that the run game wasn't very good when he was the offensive coordinator. But they also didn't have a lot in the backfield. Again, that's kind of usually a common denominator. And they didn't have a great offensive line, but he did produce 2 Pro Bowl offensive linemen.
That was in 2013, wasn't it?
2012 or 2013.
So they still should have had D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart. They should have had both of them. So they had something okay going on in the backfield.
Yeah,
at that time.
And that was D'Angelo in his prime.
Or maybe it was their total offense was really low. I can't remember now what the stat was, but there was something about their offense that was not very good league wide. But that their offensive line, while not overly talented as a group, had 2 Pro Bowlers that had their first Pro Bowl season under him as offensive coordinator. So people were talking about. They said that he does really know offensive line play, and maybe he was just a little overmatched to be calling all the shots on the offense. And that's true. There's a lot of guys that are well suited for a specific
like a
job.
Rod Marinelli.
I don't know how many snaps TJ's got left in his legs. You know, there are certainly some concerns, and that's certainly the.
They'll draft somebody this year. I guarantee you, another guard.
The point that and I like TJ. I thought he had a nice year pass blocking. I do, but he's another guy that just didn't look very good when it comes to run blocking. He just wasn't. He wasn't there.
Well, you got Theo Riddick, who, let's be honest, is more of a slot receiver than he is a running back, right? You have Amir Abdullah, who it should be like a change of pace type of back. There's no way that dude's a feature back, and all he does is try to act like Barry 2.0, and nobody's going to be Barry. You can't try to make 6 cuts behind the line. You're going to get stuffed every time. That's all he does. Yeah, we joke about it. We joke about it all the time. But it's really hard to watch because you're like, dude, just go forward. Yeah. The direction you want to go is forward.
And then you look at Tion Green. I hope the only 2 backs that are going to come back are Theo Riddick and Tion Green. Yeah. Everybody else, you can just get to stepping.
And then you got the exact opposite of Amir Abdullah with Zach Zenner. Only goes straight. There's no lefts. There's no rights. Just straight.
I'll tell you what. I'll take positive yardage every time.
Zach Zenner shouldn't be able to play for the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
He's probably done.
Yeah,
now.
he's done.
He's probably
it's
done.
just.
I think he's a free agent.
That guy screams Jim Caldwell all over.
He's got a tattoo of Jim on his left shoulder blade.
Yep.
This is the guy that gave me a chance.
I would say that
just says check the report.
Made a couple $1 million because of this guy.
I would say the couple of undrafted guys that have shown up.
I have to apologize.
Under Bob Quinn's reign, have been a little more of legitimate players. You know, you're looking at the couple of defensive linemen that they signed undrafted, and I think one of them wound up making the 53. And had a couple nice games, and you're talking about who was the guy last? Well, Tion Green's another one, and then there was a guy last year who made the roster as an undrafted. I'm trying to remember which guy it was. No, Washington they drafted in the 7th.
Made the team last.
God, George there was somebody. No, that was a couple years ago. I'd have to look back, but he's had
George
a couple
Wynn
guys.
Was last year, not this last year, but 2016.
He was?
Yeah,
I thought it was 2 years ago.
George Wynn.
Oh, whatever. Yeah. Point being, Zach Zenner would not exist on. I shouldn't say that. Obviously, he exists on a Bob Quinn roster.
Coming up next, more about the Lions running back tandem.
I don't think he'd be a
George
guy that
Wynn and Zach Zenner.
I don't think he's a guy that Bob Quinn would try to go and sign. Let's put it that way.
No, Dwayne Washington, he gone. You know,
I'm so done with
Zenner,
that experiment.
He gone.
I don't know. Bob Quinn did bring in what's his nuts Ridley. for like 13 hours.
He kicked the tires. He realized he wasn't any good, and he got rid of him.
There's no problem with that stuff.
I bet you Jim Caldwell went into Bob Quinn's office and was like, "I'd really like to keep this guy."
Just wait until I have a feeling like the first free agent player they go after is going to be like Malcolm Butler.
I don't know.
It's going to be Patriots.
You know why I don't.
Wait a minute.
Hold on. You know why I don't think that'll happen? Because the way that the market is right now. Unless he will give a discount to Patricia and Quinn, which don't discount that possibly happening, but he's going to be a guy that's going to go out and ask for $8 to $10 million, and you're not going to. First of all, you're not going to pay him.
He's a problem in the locker room.
You're not going to pay him that for 2 reasons. One, it's too much to tie into a corner when you already have a feature corner on the other side, and 2, you're only paying Darius Slay like 5 something. Yeah. You're not going to then take the guy who is clearly not as good as Slay. He's a very good player, and I would love to have him for the right price. But you're not going to go pay Malcolm Butler $10 million because then Slay's going to go, what the fuck?
I don't think Malcolm Butler's going to get $10 million.
I don't know. He's going to ask for a lot, though. I can tell you that.
I don't think he's
7. I think it'll be like 7.
He's a locker room problem.
Here's the question, though.
No.
And at that rate, though, do you think let's use the 7. Let's use that as the number. Do you think that if you sign Malcolm Butler at $7 million a year, maybe that's not his actual salary. Maybe that's just like his cap hit, Do you think that is a problem for Darius Slay? Do you think Darius Slay gets pissed off going, well, I'm only making 5.5?
No, because I go, you signed that contract.
Literally yesterday.
They stole
I mean, they
Darius
did.
Slay.
They really did.
They stole him. I would go, it's not our fault that you became a breakout player right after we signed you. That's not our problem.
It's not our fault your agent doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
Yeah, you got $5.5 million. Good for you. Guess what?
Isn't he a Drew Rosenhaus
We
guy?
just got you.
I don't know.
We just got you a lot of help. So
I would definitely take Malcolm Butler.
But I just defensively, you need a linebacker, you need a defensive end, you need a defensive tackle. Offensively, you need a center / guard, depending on what you.
I think you need a guard because I think Glasgow's going to be your center, and I think he'll be fine.
Seen a whole new team.
You probably need a new tight end, and you need a running back. Those are the things that I would.
See Eric Ebron on Twitter last week.
Yeah.
He was fucking around. He didn't even.
No, he wasn't. Because Eric Ebron, here's what pisses me off about Eric Ebron.
Go ahead.
Eric Ebron gets butthurt on Twitter.
Yeah,
if you're an NFL football player and you get butthurt on Twitter, you're a bitch, and I don't want you on my team. I don't want you on, especially if you're not good.
I think he's gone after this year. I think he's gone.
I hope so.
I don't think he's coming back.
I don't know. I mean, he had a really good second half of the year, like legitimately.
Yeah, but
he did.
They're just he still has drop problems. He still has problems with blocking. Those are all things that I think Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn are going to go, guess what? We need you to be a good, solid tight end, not just a big wide receiver.
Well, that can't catch.
Let's see what he. Look, I'm not saying.
I'm not saying
that Patricia and his staff are going to be able to stop.
Don't get me
dropping
wrong.
passes.
If he comes out and he kills it this year,
let's see what he is this year.
We'll talk something different.
Let's see what he is with a real coach.
I just still think you need a number 2 tight end.
Well, you do,
and if you can draft one in the 4th or the 5th round, go right ahead.
Well, right now
you have Roberts.
Right now, Roberts is number 2.
I forgot about him.
But the thing, in essence, I love the idea of Eric Ebron, and that's why. No, hold on. No, I love the idea of Ebron and the kind of player he can be. Because
I love the idea of getting laid.
Okay. Because he is, he is the kind of field stretching tight end like Gronkowski and Jimmy Graham is. I'm not saying he's that good. That's not what I mean. I'm just saying that he's that kind of a tight end, but he just hasn't provided the same kind of impact.
You just described everything that Lions fans want Eric Ebron to be.
That's exactly what I'm saying, and that's the reason why you're gonna let him play it out. You're gonna see what is he next year when he has real guidance and a real coaching staff.
I love the idea of idea. It's crazy, man. All right, we're free balling it tonight. I've got no notes. We're not on Facebook Live. We're just bullshitting here this evening.
Solid bullshitting, though.
That's right. We can talk a little bit of Pistons when we come back. We talk about the Red Wings fiasco in against the Islanders on Friday night, and I can't believe Jeff Blashill still has a job after that game. But what do I know? You're listening to Out of Bounds Detroit Sports. David Faze, Jeff Mel, Mike Tripp, myself, Dan Griffin. Do not go away.
We're standing in the shadows, and the good girls are home with broken hearts. I'm free. I'm free falling. Yeah, I'm free.
Hey, this is Darren McCarty, 4-time Stanley Cup champion with the Detroit Red Wings. You're listening to Out of Bounds Detroit Sports on Sports Radio Detroit.com.
I got up and went up to go to use the restroom.
All right, welcome back. Out of Bounds Detroit Sports. David Faze, Jeff Mel, Mike Tripp, myself, Dan Griffin. We are all here invading your ear hole, as always, on sportsradiodetroit.com, Apple Podcasts, or wherever the hell you listen to podcasts. And please leave us a rating, a review. Follow us on Twitter at OB_DetSports. Like the Facebook page. And most importantly, go to sportsradiodetroit.com and check out all the sweet shit we were talking about at the beginning of the show. I'm not going to go over it again.
No. Definitely not.
It was a lot about like splitters and XLR cables.
I forgot about that. Everything's going well now. Everything's going well on a free balling show. We've all got our balls out, and we're going at it.
Don't the people just wish we were on Facebook Live now?
Whatever that means.
That's why we're not on Facebook Live tonight. We got our balls out.
We're all balls out.
You guys watching the Olympics at all?
No.
Some.
No.
Why?
I got time for that shit.
I don't know what that means.
I literally haven't had time to watch the Olympics.
Oh, I thought he was being like an anti-Olympic snob over here.
I like certain events, but I just haven't gotten around to it.
You see either of these U.S. gold medals? A couple 17-year-olds going out, strapping themselves to a plank of wood and doing some crazy shit.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy watching it. I've just I've basically gotten recently like an hour of TV time to myself.
Oh, that's your porn time.
No.
You've separated that.
Yeah, that's a different time.
Separate time for porn. Does Alex watch porn with you? You can say it on the show.
In the past.
You guys enjoy yourselves?
Not this week or anything.
No, but wait a minute. Because are you one of those couples that like watches porn to become aroused, like Dave and Kristen, or or are you one of those couples that watches porn to laugh at it?
It depends on what we find.
It depends on the evening.
Yeah, it depends on the individual video that we're watching. Some of it is out of control, hilarious.
Listen, Dan. You can shit on me all you want, but don't bring my wife into this, okay?
It's okay. Whatever gets you guys off.
Yeah.
Whatever you guys have fun. You guys got to make a little Foz one of these days, and I hope that Jen Jameson's part of that for you.
God, wouldn't that just be lovely if the priest at the baptism says the name wrong, just like the
I will say this.
Little David Foz
I will
Jr.
say this is how
that shit ain't happening.
This is how you know absolutely that Kristen was not a bridezilla, because she didn't get terribly upset about that.
No.
She got a little perturbed.
There was nothing she could do
for like half a second.
What's she gonna do?
But she didn't let it ruin her wedding.
No.
So I give her a massive amount of credit for that, because I've been around too many bridezillas in my life that would have lost their fucking shit.
Well, I can tell you this after the this is going back, but after the
it's like 2 years later we're talking about this.
After the scare in the morning of worrying about whether it was actually going to rain or not, and like we were going to actually have to move the shit inside, which like it would have gone off, it would have been whatever, but it would have not been the wedding that she was trying to have.
No, it was beautiful
So
outside.
it worked out wonderfully, and when that all went right, the fact that our name got said wrong, like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, no big fucking deal.
I almost peed, because I was bombed.
Yeah, you were bombed.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
During the ceremony, I was pretty bombed.
Yeah, during, what was it, the taking photos, and you're swearing up a storm in front of the ring bearer.
That's
children.
For you guys, that was where it was really nice that everybody else got to do all the photo stuff was done beforehand. So you guys were scot-free. You guys were clear. After the ceremony was over, you guys were able to do your thing, which is fine. It was great. We had to sit out there for another hour doing fucking photos. Come on, I just want a cocktail, man.
I just want the honeymoon to start.
All right.
Everybody get nude.
I think if I were to ever have a wedding, I'm going to actually do like some kind of like faux photo shoot where it's completely fake so that I don't have to go through it like the day of or after.
And I have a feeling
They're gonna have stage photos on a random day.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. I have a feeling. I have a feeling that your lady friend would probably be okay with that.
Oh, for sure. She would probably want to do that. Just so we'd be like, all right, let's get this party started.
You know how much time that saves?
Yeah, like you just have the ceremony right to reception.
Yeah.
No photos or anything.
She's so hipster though. She'd probably want to wear like a white pantsuit.
I don't know what she'd wear. Be interesting. No, she has a very Italian family. They wouldn't allow that.
Oh, it's a tradition. But you're not Italian, so you guys aren't allowed to get married.
That's part of the reason why we haven't gotten married.
Because you're not Italian?
No, because we don't want to pay for 300 fucking people to come to this damn thing. 'Cause that's what it would be like. And anybody you left out, you know, you'd hear about it through the grapevine for the next 5 years.
Right.
Settle down.
Like my family Christmas is like 6 people there. Her family Christmas is like 40 people there.
Just elope.
And there's all these people missing. Oh, I don't know why this person didn't come and that person didn't come. It's like, what?
Just take a weekend trip to Vegas and say, fuck you all.
Yeah. We'll see how that goes.
It won't go well, will it?
Oh, maybe not. Wouldn't be her, it'd be the family.
Well, yeah, that's the point.
Yeah, no, that's why
they would resent you forever.
Crazy as
You'd never really be a part of the family.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They already resent you because you're not Italian.
Yeah, that's true.
It is true, isn't it?
No, they don't resent me.
Oh, it's true.
I mean, I'm quiet.
This man is blonde. Grown men are not blonde.
I just try to keep to myself. I observe more often when I'm there.
I'm picturing Jeff at one of Alex's family gatherings, just sitting in a corner with his little vape pen,
watching whatever's on TV, football on TV,
on your phone.
Yeah, luckily she has some uncles that are.
While the whole family's playing bocce in the backyard.
That are into sports. They do put it on me though, just because I do this damn podcast. They like ask me as if I know like everything that's.
But do they
on.
actually listen to the show?
No.
Well, then fuck them.
I don't have time for that. I know you try to get people to listen, but
it never works.
No. The last thing my friends and family, the last thing my friends and family want to do is listen to any more of me. I'll tell you that much.
Well, now that we know that Jeff didn't watch the Olympics, Dave, let's have a conversation.
Okay.
I'm just upset that I haven't had a chance to watch any curling yet.
Yeah, I will watch curling. Actually, you know what's
curling
funny?
Is good.
You know what's funny about that is that I can, with Hulu, they're doing this giant Hulu Live like Olympics thing where you can like set up so that like whenever you have like whatever sport you want to watch, you can personalize it so that you get like everything that you wanted like alert you.
Oh, that's pretty sweet.
So I can set it up to where I do have that, but I can also rewatch everything on demand.
Yeah, you can go back and watch a full mixed doubles curling
So when
tournament.
I'm done with this season 3 of Mr. Robot, that's what I'll watch.
You have a problem.
Why?
You have a problem with it. Every week, Jeff walks in here. You check out this new show.
It's gonna take him 100 years to finish Mr. Robot because he only gets an hour of TV a week.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Jeff is. Oh, I didn't turn up Mike's mic. I keep forgetting to get that fourth channel. We're missing him again.
Why? What's?
Just jiggle it.
It just needs love.
Talk, Mike.
No, I'm here.
Hey!
And I'm back.
There it is. You just hear it click. You just hear it.
Yeah. I think that's a bad XLR.
I would think so.
You think I stole all those ones?
No, man, I've been out of my TV game.
There's one right there.
You want to try it?
I've been out of my.
It's working now.
But out of my TV game, it's been taking me forever to finish this one season of Mr. Robot. It's so fucking good though.
Every week, Jeff comes in here with a new show. You guys watch this show yet? You guys watch that show yet? Jeff is show guy.
I started watching Altered Carbon when I was.
What the hell is that?
It's a new Netflix show about a guy who's like an assassin or some shit, and he gets put in prison. But prison is where you're stuck in your like a consciousness disc for like 250 years, and when he wakes, he's in a different body. So he's like he was somebody.
So it's like
years.
Assassin's Creed.
I don't know. It's fucking weird. I only got like halfway through because I realized I was like playing video games on my phone, and I like realized that I was watching this big important scene where it was like basically unveiling the whole push for the entire season in this one conversation of like details of what's going on. I'm like not even fucking paying attention, so I turned it off. I didn't watch it.
Who is in the show? Anybody of note?
Not the main guy. I've seen him in other stuff.
The main guy.
It was from The Killing. Was he in the Killing?
He was Rick Flag in Suicide Squad.
Yeah, he was Rick Flag in Suicide Squad.
Joel Edgerton. No, I'm sorry, Joel Kinnaman.
I had to take a break from new shows.
He was also the new RoboCop.
Yes.
I had to take a break from new shows after I watched that dumbass Netflix show with the anorexic chick.
What? You watch weird shit.
Are you talking about Teen Mom?
No, it wasn't a show. It was a movie. It was a Netflix original movie. And I wish I could remember what the hell it was called.
Their movies,
I think it was called To the Bone.
Their movies don't do it for me.
And I swear to God, this was the dumbest.
Was that the movie with Lily Collins?
I don't fucking know anybody's name. Who's Lily Collins?
Phil Collins' daughter. I mean, that's literally who she is.
Okay, great.
It's not going to help me explain to you who she is. I don't really know how to explain that to you.
What does she look like?
Dark hair. Skinny. She's skinny in real life, so I don't know.
Then maybe a lot of skinny chicks on this show, on this movie.
What is it called?
I think it's called To the Bone on Netflix.
I'll try to find it.
And I gave up after I watched it, this was the dumbest fucking shit I'd ever seen. I was like, this is going to be a really neat show about how eating disorders are a major problem. And of course, there was some of that, and it was comical to a degree. But then it gets to the end.
Yeah, Lily Collins.
Spoiler alert on this. Don't ever watch this shit.
Spoiler alert, Lily Collins in the movie.
Yeah. So this chick, she goes to fucking rehab or whatever to get over her eating disorder.
It's a true story, by the way.
Whatever. It's a dumb true story if that's
wow.
There's no way this part of it was true.
Maybe.
There's no way the ending was true, right? So, okay, so she goes to rehab, right? She somehow falls in love with the one male anorexic dude there, right? Of course, whatever, rom-com bullshit.
Right.
And so the last scene is she like... Her parents were like separated, and her mom was a lesbian and like married this broad. And so she goes out to visit her mom and this broad that she marries, and they like own this like weird campground where like you can get, it's like a glamping place basically. Yeah. So she like rents a room at her mom's place or one of those glamping tents, and she's like ready to go to sleep. And I'm thinking there's got to be like 2 hours of this movie left. There's no way this is almost over. So her mom comes in and like starts to like talk to her about her disorder and about how she's like this weird type of therapist. And so the main character, what's her nuts that Dave just said, she starts crying and starts realizing that it was the way that her childhood was that made her anorexic. And I swear to God, the very last scene before the credits, she curls up in her mom's lap and just says, "Mommy, will you feed me?"
Weirdest shit I've ever heard.
And so mommy goes and gets her like a bottle of goat's milk and starts feeding her in her lap, and then roll credits.
That sounds so fucked up.
I don't know what the hell this movie was trying to tell me.
That sounds like the missing scene from Requiem for a Dream.
Right. Next time you think about watching something like that, don't.
It's just like
I have so many quality things for you to watch, and you'll watch a movie like that.
I got something hilarious for you, by the way.
I never watched whatever 50 Shades of 13 Reasons Why or whatever the hell it was. I never watched that
50
shit.
Shades of 13 Reasons Why.
What the hell is it called?
That's a very convoluted title. No, so this is awesome. You know how Google has like suggestive searching, right?
Yeah.
So I literally just typed in "to the," and "to the bone" was the second thing that came up. So I didn't have to even type it all the way in. But so here was the suggested. There was 4 of them. It was literally "to the," so just what I wrote. Then it was "to the bone." Then it was "to the Stars Academy," and the last one was "to the window to the wall."
That's awesome. Do you know?
Love it.
Do you know "To the Stars Academy"? I think is Tom DeLonge's school. I think.
Is it?
Yeah, I think it is.
Well, let's find out. I'm gonna type it in.
Pretty sure.
Because he's a 2-star celebrity.
His alien stuff. Man, that guy could put on a fucking rock show. Tell you what, but he's a kook now.
Yeah, you're right. It is.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I mean, he was probably a kook then, too.
I looked at joining the academy. But
moral of the story here is don't watch To the Bone.
No, don't do that. Watch Mr. Robot instead. Very good show.
Damn it.
And the guy who wrote and created and directed Mr. Robot is the guy banging Emmy or Awesome.
That depresses me.
Yeah, Sam Ishmael. And it's incredible. It's so fucking good. I'm like, no wonder she's fucking This is so good.
He's supposed to be in the Queen.
No, that's Rami Malek. That's the guy who plays. That's the guy who is the main character.
Yeah. He's gonna be Freddie Mercury.
He's gonna be Freddie Mercury, and he looks just like Freddie Mercury.
Yeah, it was freaking. I saw the first photo.
It's incredible
crazy.
How much he looks like him.
He's a little shorter.
Yeah, he is a little shorter.
But that's not going to matter in the movie. You're not going to notice that.
We'll see how he sings. That's the real question.
Well, are they going to have him actually sing?
Nobody
like
sings.
They're going to just have him.
You ever hear Jordan Peele sing like Freddie Mercury? Because it'll blow your fucking mind.
Jordan Peele?
Yes.
I guess, but here's the thing. Freddie Mercury has the single greatest vocal range in the history of humanity.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Recorded. Recorded. He's got the greatest voice of all time. Right. Nobody's better than Freddie Mercury.
Do we have a sports transition we can work here?
Why do you have to ruin the mood?
You segue? Do you got a segue drop for me?
Trying to free ball it.
We were free balling it, but we get. This is a sports show.
Jordan Peele, Michael Jordan, basketball, Pistons. There you go.
Yes.
Oh, God. Water's finally finding its level with Blake. I'm glad. I'm
it's not finding its water with Blake. It's just finding its water with. It's finding its level with the team.
No,
5-3.
The deal in and of itself. Yeah, and congratulations. You beat 4 teams on a back-to-back when Blake first got here. All 4 of them were coming off back-to-backs.
Yep.
And, by the way, teams are finally figuring out that, hey, they're going to run the offense through Blake. And things are evening out. Now, Dave's boyfriend had a couple of nice games there for a minute. Now he's back to being himself again.
Oh, Stanley?
Yes.
Stanley's been fine. Look, here's the issues right now. Okay? And Blake is not the problem. He had a terrible game yesterday.
Of course he's not. He's the best player on the team.
Blake had a terrible game yesterday, but the whole team played terribly yesterday. Look, your defense is porous as shit. Okay, people are getting into the paint at will. Like I said, tonight's game, which they lost, they wound up losing, I think, by 15 at the end, which is about the score of most of the second half. They, I believe, at halftime.
Piston fans up on your feet!
I don't know where it ended. I'm sure it didn't really get any better, but at halftime, I think the Pelicans had 36 points in the paint. Look, that you're not going to win games when you're giving up that many points up to the basket like that.
Scored 38.
So he now, by the way, a fun stat, he now holds the arena records for both the Palace and LCA for the Pistons. He's got the highest scoring total for the year for an opponent of the Pistons. So now he had the most point total in the history of the Palace for an opponent at 59 last time they played last year, and then now he scored 38 against them tonight. So he owns the Pistons, but then again, he owns a lot of teams, so that's not really. I don't really worry about that part because Davis is going to get his. Okay, he's really good. But look, you got Nikola Mirotic, again, another guy that for whatever reason the Pistons can never seem to stop. I don't think he's some sort of an all-star. I think he's a good player. He's not some sort of an all-star. The Pistons always make him look like he's, like a perennial all-star. But so you got defense is terrible right now, and Stan keeps saying it, and I'm like, well, if that's your key, then maybe you should fucking figure it out. And the other part, and this is. And I wouldn't even necessarily say it's his fault because he is what he is.
Stanley, you put the roster together, Stanley.
You cannot win games consistently with Ish Smith as your starting point guard. You just can't.
No.
I've said it 1,000 times.
You're banking so hard on Reggie coming back and turning this thing around.
Because Ish Smith is not very good.
I agree with that.
Well, look, here's the thing, though, with now that you have Blake, here's why I say that. You now have a bona fide superstar, right? So when Reggie comes back,
you say bona fide, I say borderline.
That's fine. When Reggie comes back, Reggie doesn't have to come in and be the guy with Drummond, and he doesn't have to be the number 1 or the number. He could be the number 3 technically, and it makes your team way better because you have another guy who you can run the offense through if you want. You have another guy who can actually drive and get to the hole and can hit free throws and also can actually shoot the frickin' ball. That's the problem right now. Is you cannot have a guy on the court when you have Blake and Andre at your core. You can't have a point guard who can't shoot the ball. He literally can't shoot, and it doesn't work. So he's running around like a crazy person, thinking you're gonna make offense that way. And I love Ish, I really do, and I think Ish is a great backup. I truly believe that, but he's not a starter. He's just not. And he's being played way too much because he has to be. And it's not the role he should be in.
You went out there and you got yourself some Jameer Nelson. You went out there and got a geriatric point guard to come out there.
I'm not even gonna. This is not a joke. I would start Jameer because Jameer can actually hit shots. I'm not even kidding.
It's a liability on defense.
So is Ish.
Yeah.
So I don't think that really makes any difference defensively. I don't think it's going to change.
Jameer's better from 3.
Jameer's a better shooter.
Ish Smith shoots 25% from 3-point range.
Is it that
awful. Good? Yes, right. Jeez.
I mean, it's terrible.
The team on defense is just.
It is. Abysmal. It's really bad.
I think what you've seen out of these last few games is closer to what the Pistons are, even with Blake Griffin, even with Reggie Jackson.
I don't think so.
Here's the problem, and here is what is driving me fucking insane about this trade, and here's why I hated it to begin with. This is where you are. You're a team that is 7th or 8th best in the East, or maybe one of the first couple of teams out. You've taken your purgatory and you've now stretched it out an extra year or 2 because you have no way to build around Blake Griffin. So I'll just go ahead and pretend that Blake is a bona fide superstar, right? He's a great piece to build around. Fine. I'll give that to you. How do you do it? There's nowhere else to go from here for at least 2 more seasons. This is where you're stuck, and it means nothing, and you're stuck in this 7, 8, 9, 10th place in the East purgatory that's not going to get any better. You don't have a bench at all. Good luck in a 7-game series relying on Anthony Tolliver and Reggie Bullock to hit these threes that they've been hitting. And they've been fine. But if you think you're going to win a series that way, if Blake goes out and has one bad game, or a team goes, hey, we're going to go shut down Blake and everybody else has to beat us, you're getting swept and you're getting beat by 20 points 4 games in a row.
At this point, Bullock's a starter. And I mean that literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
He's a good enough player to be a starter.
It's just Luke Kennard. You put him out there, he'll hit a few shots.
Just had his career high of 18 points the other day.
No, his career high is 22.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But he's been averaging anywhere between 15 and 18 every game now for about a month. He's fine. Reggie Bullock is nowhere near the problem because Reggie Bullock actually plays some defense.
No, Reggie Bullock himself isn't the problem. The fact that Reggie Bullock is needed to be what he is right now is what the problem is.
Well, see, I think that's an obtuse view, though, because Reggie Bullock is finally coming into his own as the player that I think he's capable of being. And so I don't know that it's necessarily you relying on Reggie to be what he's been. I think it's that Reggie is finally becoming what Reggie can be. I think it's more that than the former. So I'm taking Bullock out of this conversation completely because Bullock is not the issue. He's not the answer. He's a piece. He's good. I like him, and you're paying him pennies. And so that's not even a conversation piece really at this point. It's the other. It's you know. Here's where I'm at. I'm not even worried. And even when they made the Blake trade, yeah, it was cool about, we're going to make a run. Look, I don't care. Maybe this is blasphemy as a fan. I don't care about this season. I don't. I really don't at this point.
You shouldn't care about this season.
I want to see them come. I want to see Reggie come back, see what they are with Reggie, so that maybe they can at least get a feel for what their three-headed monster, if you want it, however you want to put it, what their three-headed unit is going to look like, and then figure out what pieces you need to fit in there. And I know you said, well, how do you do it? Well, look, we've said this 1,000 times. You can't get big-time free agents to come here. Even if you had the money, they just don't come, right? So you have to build strategically. And so I don't actually think that Blake and Andre making all the money they make is going to hamstring you in the sense that you won't be able to get some viable pieces to put around those two guys to make a good team.
You have
to draft well. And you have to be strategic. And I understand you're not going to have a draft pick this year.
But
I get
Dave,
it.
you don't even have enough money to get decent bench pieces at this point.
Well, that's not true. That's not true because they're not going to go out and sign 7 guys.
You have $8 to play with.
You're going to try to sign 2. You know what contract is hamstringing them the most when you come into this offseason? And I kid you not, it's John Lure.
Oh yeah,
no, it's John Lure. It's $10.5 million a year for a guy who can't do shit for you.
He's like the 5th highest paid player on the team behind
that right now is the contract
Reggie,
that I think is killing
you. He might be the 4th highest paid player.
He's third or fourth. Look,
he's behind Reggie, who makes $16 million. Andre's a max. Blake Griffin's a max.
Yeah,
so he's the 3rd highest.
Blake's making a shit ton. We know this. Andre is being paid the max that he was it was available to the Pistons to pay him, and that's fine. Whatever, you're gonna do it because you didn't really have another option. And in relative to what the market of the NBA is right now, Reggie Jackson is not making a ridiculous salary. He's really not.
And he shouldn't be.
He's making probably what he's worth, quite frankly. So that's why I say the biggest issue contract to me right now when you look at trying to build a roster, if you had an extra $10 million that John Lure is making right now, that's a big chunk of cash you could use. So we'll see. They have a couple of little pieces now that they can use from a couple of trade exceptions and stuff like that they can make use of if they're smart. And to be honest with you, that's about the only personnel moves that Stan and Jeff Bauer have made that have actually been good is their ability to make trades. Whether you like the trades they've made or not is not the point.
That's the other thing.
It's the fact that I don't think you can look at a single trade that the Pistons have made since Stan Van Gundy has been in power and say that they did not win the trade.
That's the other thing.
Absolutely have.
That's the other thing that's been driving me nuts. Stan going out there every night, and this has been over the last, whatever it's been, the last couple losses, and I'm sure probably tonight, which I haven't had a chance to check out his press
You're probably right, but I'm waiting to see what you say.
But no, this guy keeps going out there talking about how we can't play defense and we can't do this, and we can calling out his players, and
he's not even really calling anybody out at this point, actually, yet.
No, he's calling out his team as a team.
Just not playing D, yeah.
You're the one who picked these players. You put this roster together. I mean, it's one thing if you're just the coach and you're going, we're not doing enough.
Yeah.
It's another thing when you get to pick the players that go on your team and constantly, night after night after night, you're saying the same thing.
Well, I get what you're saying, but I also would say he's not going out there and saying our guys can't play defense. He's saying our guys aren't playing defense.
But they can't play defense. I can see that. You can see that. Watch, these guys cannot. This team cannot play defense, especially when it comes to, as Stan said, after the loss against, by the way, an 18-win Hawks team. We can't guard their guards. We can't guard dribble penetration. This is your team. And don't sit here and tell me that Reggie Jackson coming back is somehow going to make them some sort of defensive dynamo at stopping the guards.
Reggie Jackson is the 16th average year salary point guard in the league. So he gets paid $16 million a year.
The hell does that have to do with him playing defense?
He was just looking up. I was just looking it up because before you were saying his contract is probably where it should be or a little too high, and I was like, all right, well, let's see where he ranks within the league, and where he ranks within the league is middle of the league. And he gets,
it's fine. I don't have necessarily an issue with Reggie's contract in general. What I have an issue with is Reggie's contract or any other contract mixed in with the rest of these fucking contracts that have maxed out your cap capabilities, and you've no way to get better, and now you've hamstrung yourself basically into no way to really get worse in order to get better.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from.
It drives me nuts. It's not rocket science in the NBA. It really is not rocket science on how you build a good team. You do it two ways. You do it the way you do it the LA Miami way, where you can just go out and be a destination town, and if you can get one guy, you can get everybody else at the same time.
I don't even know if the Lakers are going to be a destination town in the near future, to be quite frank.
Well, they have to deal with Lonzo Ball for a little while.
Yeah, the Clippers,
I don't think that's the problem. I think the organization's fallen so far.
The Clippers might be more enticing.
No, but
you get to be in the same city.
You know what I'm saying, though. If a guy like KD goes to the Lakers, he's going to be able to bring guys with him. Yeah.
Well,
that's what I'm saying.
But the problem at this point is getting that first guy to go now.
But it's a lot easier for a city like that to get that first guy.
You're right.
Detroit's never going to be that.
Well,
town.
and that's where Jeff. I think Jeff actually makes a good point that I know we're just talking semantics now, but I actually think at this point in time, I almost think the Clippers are a better draw than the Lakers.
Whatever. It's L.A., Chicago, New York.
You have two options.
At least the Clippers are more of a clean slate.
Yeah, they are.
You don't have to go deal with the balls.
But that's the first way you do it.
God,
or you do it the way. You guys can continue to give me shit all you want.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
You do it the way the Sixers are doing it.
Yeah. All right, we don't need to know your philosophy on it. We know it.
It's not rocket science. There's two ways to do it in this league.
I mean, it's just
dude. Here's the problem though with that theory. It still hasn't been proved that it works. We see the Philadelphia 76ers are getting much, much better. It doesn't mean they're any closer to winning a championship.
No, they're not any closer to winning a championship right now. And like I said, they've taken some stumbles along the way. They've missed. They have missed. There's no doubt about that.
If they make the playoffs, which they may still do, they're in the 8th seed right now. I think
be a 7
they
or
make
8.
the playoff. They go out and get destroyed, which is entirely possible. Then what makes them so much better than the Pistons? You know what I mean?
What makes them so much better than the Pistons? The fact that they have a core of kids that are 23 years old that have not even close to reach their prime yet, and you're paying them chiclets right now. You can basically hold on to guys in the NBA
you're
now.
Paying Embiid now
with Embiid, but with bird rights nowadays, you can basically hang on to these guys for 6, 7, 8 years before you really have to pay them max deals or whatever it is. So that's why the idea of what the Sixers wanted to do, and it's finally starting to come to fruition, makes so much sense. If you tank and you get these picks and you can hang on to these guys for 8 years, there's no reason that the way the Sixers have set themselves up can't work. There's no reason that it can't work, and it should work, especially in small market places. But when you have when you have an owner who doesn't know his foot from a basketball, and you have Stan Van Gundy who is, I don't even think anybody can argue this anymore. He's a terrible team president. He's a terrible general manager, and you have a guy like him who you're just chasing it. You're constantly chasing it, and in a market like Detroit, you can't do that. You can't just keep chasing it.
Yeah. Dwight Howard's not walking through that door.
You're going to be stuck in the middle forever. And that to me, and maybe this is me as a weird fan of sports, the weird fan that I am, being in the middle is the most infuriating place to be.
Yeah.
Because if you're at the bottom, you can build. If you're at the top, obviously you're at the top. And when you're in the middle, you're actually farther from the top than you are if you're at the fucking bottom. I don't know if that makes any sense. I hope it does.
I'm gonna ask you a question. And it'll tie into another team in this town. Who do you think deserves to be fired first, Stan Van Gundy or Jeff Blashill?
That's so tough.
If you have to keep one and dump one, who are you keeping?
As a coach, I'm probably firing Blashill first.
All right.
Because I can tolerate Stan as a coach.
Let's go with a pair of Stan Van Gundy as coach, as president, and Jeff Bauer as GM, or Ken Holland and Jeff Blashill. Who are you keeping and who are you firing?
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say I'm firing Holland and Blashill first.
Yeah, I'm blowing them out first.
For two reasons. One is because they've been here a hell of a lot longer. And two is because I'm a hockey first guy. But that's it.
And they're doing the same as the Pistons. 22 and 23, just toiling around in the middle, just hanging out, not getting any better, not getting any worse.
And it's so funny because the leagues and the way that you can win in those leagues are very, very similar. The difference is obviously an NHL roster is far longer.
Yeah.
You have more players that you need.
Yeah, but you have a bunch of farm teams that you can use.
It's the same basic concept. You have to suck to be good, and you have to recognize that you suck.
You know what's fun is going back, these like Facebook memories. Talking about you get to see all the stuff you posted from fucking 8 years ago or whatever. I am seeing posts, no joke, from 2013 where I'm telling the Red Wings to blow it up. Get rid of Ken Holland. And we are now in 2018 and he's still here.
We've all been there.
And he still hasn't blown it up.
I'm glad you gave us that segue because Dave's wearing his Red Wings hat. I'm sure he'd want to get in on this conversation. That game, did you see that shit Friday night?
I did not because I was at the Pistons game and so was Dave. But I know what happened.
Did you happen to watch the highlights?
We followed it very closely on our phones.
Unbelievable.
Yes.
I have never seen in all of my... Hockey is my first love. It is the first sport that I watched, that I cared about. In all of my time watching this game, and never in my entire life have I ever seen 4 goals given up on a power play.
Right.
In less than 4 minutes.
Yep.
I have never in my life seen anything like that. The closest thing I could say...
A goal a minute to end the game.
A goal every... Yeah, about a minute.
Yep.
About every minute.
Every minute.
The closest thing that I have ever seen to that was a playoff series had to be 3 or 4 years ago. It was Boston and Toronto. And I want to say Toronto was leading the series 3-1. And they were up in Game 5 with 11 minutes to go. They were up 5-1, and they lost that game 6-5. And lost the series.
Yeah.
That is the closest thing I have ever seen to anything like that. And I looked at that, and I watched the end of that game, and I thought there is no fucking reason Jeff Blashill should be the Detroit Red Wings head coach when he gets off that plane on the next morning. And here's the thing. I don't even think necessarily that Jeff Blashill is the major issue with this team.
No.
I think that Jeff Blashill could probably get another head coaching job and do okay. I think that this team and I don't know what Dave's opinion is, but I've got to imagine that yours is pretty similar to this. It's absolutely broken. It's broken in every way from top to bottom. Obviously, Ken Holland is the issue, and I don't look to Jeff Blashill and go. I almost look at Jeff Blashill and go, "You poor guy, you poor guy." There's a reason Mike Babcock walked away from this team.
Oh yeah,
there's
sure.
And it's showing its ugly face right now.
Personally, I think this team is pretty bad, and they're still at 500. So that tells me one of two things. Either you're getting a high output from like the 3 young kids that you have, which I know not to be the case. I know Mantha's really good right now, and Anthony C is pretty good, and Larkin's all right. But other than that,
Larkin's has been way more of a distributor this year than he has been at a goal.
Or your coach is doing a decent job coaching a bunch of schlubs. And I think it's the second one.
Your coach
not to mention
your coach is doing a decent job coaching a bunch of overvalued talent.
I will say this.
Yeah. The salary cap is a huge problem for the Red Wings as well.
My biggest issue, personally, let me put it this way. The thing that I dislike the most that Blashill has done, and I don't know if it's strictly him. I don't know if it's coming from management and he's part of it. I don't know. But this whole thing with the complete lack of accountability for veterans, and yet every single little mistake that a young kid makes as he's learning the game is they're getting like crucified, and there's being minutes taken away from young kids to give to veterans who are doing nothing because they're veterans and they have a track record. Fuck that. If they're not playing well, they're not playing well. It's very simple. They shouldn't get minutes and get extra time because they have a presence in the league. Get the fuck out of here. That's not the way you win.
And it's really funny, too, because when we talk about the overvalued talent, I was just looking at some metrics the other day. I don't know why, but I was.
That's a sad thing to do for the Wings right now.
And here's the thing. Andreas Athanasiou. Okay, here's a guy that is a young kid that everybody thinks he's got a chance to be this excellent player. Like fans love Andreas Athanasiou.
Yeah, I think the league loves Andreas too.
Here's the thing.
I think
who's a guy on this Red Wings roster? He's been here a considerable amount of time. I'm gonna let you guys guess. Been here a considerable amount of time that fans have always been down on.
Darren Helm.
No, plays defense. Big guy.
Jonathan Ericsson.
Yeah,
Jonathan Ericsson.
Yeah.
I'm looking at these metrics and I'm going, Jonathan Ericsson, he's actually been all right this year.
No, if you watch the gameplay, he's actually looked fine.
Metrically, far better than Athanasiou. Way better than Athanasiou, as far as the metrics are concerned.
Yeah.
But Athanasiou is a guy that people love.
I've never really looked. How does it compare metrics for a? I've never really looked at those closely from defense to offense.
You got to evaluate offensive metrics versus defensive metrics. But if we're going by who's overall metrically having the better season, it's not even close as Jonathan Ericsson. When you take a look at those numbers, I'd actually like a metric to be created where you could compare the two ends of the puck. Here's the thing about Athanasiou. Doesn't play both ends of the ice at all. At all. Doesn't play both ends of the ice. Even Anthony Mantha has, in my opinion, vastly improved his defensive game.
He has, and he's also a bigger body, so he can bully guys out the puck a little bit. Anthony doesn't really do that either, and that's something you got to put in your game.
You got to be a two-way player.
You got to be able to win battles in the corner.
I look at this cap, and it is so fucking ugly.
Oh, it's terrible.
You look at the Red Wings cap.
It's so terrible.
I'm looking at 18 to 19, right?
So
next year, you still got Zetterberg on there.
Next year, the restricted free agents. Let me name them for you. Restricted free agents.
I'm scared.
Anthony Ciu.
It's like everyone.
Dylan Larkin. Anthony Mantha. Tyler Bertuzzi. And Martin Furk. All right?
Well, a couple of those is not a big deal. You're going to sign them to low deals. Like Bertuzzi and Furk are not going to get a whole lot.
They're restricted free agents, correct? But that 3 of your best players are all restricted free agents. And you have to pay them. And you have no cap money, by the way. So you're paying 6 to Henrik, 5 to Thomas Tatar, 5 to Franz Nielsen, 4.7 to Nyquist, 4.2 to Abdelkader, 3.8 to Darren Helm, and 1.8 to Luke Glendening. So you have a ton of money.
Is Luke Glendening scored a goal in the last year and a half?
Did you say Abdelkader?
Yeah, he's still there.
No, did you say the number?
4.2.
What about DeKaiser?
DeKaiser is $5 million. Nicholas Kronwall is $4.7 million. Jonathan Erickson's $4.2 million. Trevor Daley is getting a fat $3.1 million.
Oh my God!
And then you have the low guys. Olette's making 1.2. Jensen's making 800.
Olette's not even an NHL player.
Yeah, and Jensen's making $800,000. Witkowski's making $750,000. Then you get to the goalies. They're letting
one of them is going to be gone.
They're letting Pete walk, and then in 1920 they're going to let Jimmy walk.
Well, one of them might be dealt.
And then you're still paying $6 million for the combination.
Dude, honestly,
of Stephen Weiss and Johan Franz.
I'm not letting Pete walk. You signed Pete for 2 years, probably at a lesser rate than you even paid him this time because he hasn't earned it.
$4 million. You have $9 million wrapped up in goalies.
And you trade.
You
Jimmy.
let them both walk.
You trade Jimmy.
I'm going to tell you right now, when it comes to the deadline, one of those guys has got to get dealt.
Well, you got to trade Green, and you got to trade. There's some rumors going around. There's some teams have been calling about Danny DeKaiser. Dude, give up a freaking first-round pick to get out of that contract. I'm not even kidding you. Just get rid of some of this freaking money.
Yeah,
you can't build a team right now.
When it comes to the goalies, though,
keep like 5. Keep your Manthos, your Larkins, your Anthony Cius.
Anthony Ciu can walk, as far as I'm concerned.
Justin Abdelkader and Henrik Zetterberg, because you have to, and get rid of the rest of them somehow, some way. But some of these guys are stacked into contracts. I mean, you're paying 2 guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 into 2021. Then Zetterberg comes off in 21-22. Tatar comes off in 21-22. Helm comes off in 21-22. We're playing for 21-22.
That's exactly what we're doing right now.
Luke Glendening's off in 21-22. Erickson will be gone. Kronwall will be gone. Daly will be gone. And then Jensen, Olette, they could all be gone.
And Ken Holland will still be around.
Oh, my God.
Dude, when it comes to goalies,
there's no way. He can't.
If you say so.
Unless he pulls.
He's not gone yet, so that's
some sort of ridiculous move where he can clear out some of these guys, get them on other teams. I'm sure he overpaid for these guys, so nobody wants these fucking contracts.
Nobody. Everybody that you just named, outside of maybe one of the goaltenders, there is no way.
Franz Nielsen is an effective player who could go to another team and be a good
It's just too much money.
But he gets paid $5.2 million. No one's going to take that deal. But he's a player that if he was making 3.5 or 4, you could get rid of his contract because somebody would take him on for that. But no one's taking him on for this overpaid crap.
I get you. I haven't
looked at this in so long, and it just angers me. Maybe I'll go another 3 years without looking at it.
Here's the only thing with Holland that actually frightens me, or with the potential of him being back. And like I said, I just can't imagine there being a way you could bring him back and not have people just go, well, you're running your organization into the ground. Is that
give me some of those fake Oreos?
They're good, actually. Is that the cacao? Some cacao chocolate? No, is that I did see something the other day that said...
Batman! I knocked over Batman
he's
and
drunk. That says that apparently, according to sources close to the Ilitch family, as much as they are fully allowing for a complete rebuild to happen with the baseball team, that they do not believe in and will not settle for a rebuild with the hockey team. That they don't believe in doing a teardown in the NHL, which is absurd.
Then they will never win anything.
You are 100% correct.
They will never make any fucking money on that.
You are 100% correct. So if there's actually truth to that, then I'm scared as hell. Because, like you said, Jeff, that LCA is going to be vacant for quite a while.
They've got all this young talent.
No, they don't.
No. Oh, shit.
I got a handful of NHL players.
Barely a handful.
Of players that matter. I mean, like, they have guys that could go to other teams and, like, be contributors. But they don't have anybody, really, aside from maybe Mantha, that other teams would pony up for.
They
should have blew out Larkin right after his rookie year. They should have traded him away. His stock was so fucking high when he had 20 goals in like his first 40 games. They should have traded him at the deadline and got whatever they could get.
No, because you know what they would have done? Here's why I disagree with that. I don't disagree with the premise.
Yeah.
I disagree with that because of what they would have traded him for.
Yeah, Ken Holland would have brought back.
They would have traded him for a high-priced veteran. Or a couple of them that would have made no fucking difference.
Or just two random guys.
They would have traded him for two Steve Otts.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking, like two random minor leaguers.
Three!
That are prospects but really aren't very good. Because clearly he doesn't know how to evaluate talent. And when he can evaluate talent, he has no idea when to bring him up or keep him down.
Or when to cut him loose.
Yep. He's just, oh my God, he's just so... I always loved Ken, but you can tell that he was Mr. Ilitch's agent, basically.
He was his little bitch.
He was just writing contracts. That's all he was a contract writer.
Ken was fine in the old NHL.
Yeah, where
the game has passed him by.
Ilitch opens up a checkbook and goes, "Give me that guy." Yeah, it's real easy.
Go out and get me Brett Hull and Luke Robitaille.
When you're the Yankees of the NHL, it's really fucking easy.
Yeah.
I could have built that team. All you did is make a call. Hey, we're going to pay you a lot of money.
Hey, you want to come here and play with Brendan Shanahan and Steve Yzerman and Nick Lidstrom?
Yeah.
And by the way, I'll pay you all this money.
You didn't even have to pay those guys that much. They would have come anyway.
Oh, it sounds great.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds awesome.
But look, I don't. I actually think you're maybe I'm misjudging what you're saying. I think you're selling Larkin a little short. Quite frankly, I think he's going to be fine.
No,
I understand. I understand he's only scored 8 goals this year. I get that.
It's the value that you could have gotten for him at the time.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, if somebody called on Larkin and you told them that yes, he's available, you would get a lot for him. If you're a good GM that knows how to make a deal, you would get a lot for him. I'm not saying Ken Holland, because I agree with you that his ability to make a deal is not very good. But in a perfect world, the value you could get for him would be very high.
I just thought of an idea for a game for the show. And it has to do with what Dave just said.
What?
Let's play Let's Make a Deal. Let's play Let's Make a Deal for Dylan Larkin. Next time we do a show, we're going to play Let's Make a Deal.
All right.
Well, that constitutes me actually knowing what the NHL is right now. There's too much stuff going on. No, that's fine.
It's like it's funny that I'll watch the mediocre 500 Pistons, but I will not watch the mediocre 500 Wings. And arguably, hockey has been my most one of my favorite sports since I was a kid. But until my friends will put a Red Wings game on, and I'll go turn this shit off, and they'll go, "Why?" I go, "It's bad hockey. No one likes to watch bad hockey."
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, naturally they'll score right after I say that. And then,
that's right, but let's make a deal.
But I just can't watch it. I just can't follow it. It's the most boring thing to me is to watch this Red Wings team play.
No, bad hockey's rough.
It's the worst, I think.
Well, I will say this though too. I think part of what you're saying is the fact that I think the Pistons roster as it stands, yes, they need some things. Yeah, they do. But I at least see some semblance of a roster that I think it can compete. You know what I mean? With the Wings, they don't have that.
Yeah,
they don't have that at all.
They also don't have a top 25 player.
Yeah, and that's the other problem is they're in this last year and this year. Like last year, they weren't very good, and they finally missed the playoffs and had a higher pick than they've had in a really long time. But it was still 10. Yeah. You got to get like if they could have just absolutely tanked this year and been the worst team in the league and got the number 1 pick, you would be able to get a defenseman who is the defense caliber of like a Austin Matthews, Connor McDavid kind of guy.
Guys. Or they could have took Chychrun, who's playing right now.
Well, and that's another thing of
instead of
Ken Holland. Yeah,
I had to crawl under the table.
Yeah, it's lovely. This is delicious.
I'm giving Jeff a hug.
To the same point. I mean, they traded Datsuk's contract, and by doing so, had to swap picks. And instead of getting Jacob Chychrun, got Denis Cholowski. And to say that, I have no idea what he's going to be. He might be really good. Yeah. We don't know. He certainly isn't a Jacob Chychrun. We know that.
They should have ate the contract.
He might develop really well, and that's all well and good. And if he does, I'll say great.
They should have drafted the good player and ate the contract.
But yeah, and because what did they do with that money? They went and got Frans Nielsen, who again, as we said, I have no issue with Frans Nielsen as a player. He's fine. But you went out and spent $5.5–6 million on him.
He's a guy that you go get when you're close.
I'd rather have you, I'd rather have you playing, Bob Smith from the minors instead of Frans Nielsen.
I love Bob Smith.
Isn't that the problem with both of these teams?
Brennan Smith's brother, by the way.
When we talk about the Red Wings and the Pistons, isn't that the problem with both of these teams? Both of these organizations, they're both organizations that go out and they get those pieces that are pieces that you go get when you're close. That's what both of these organizations have continued to do. Hey, there's that one piece that can like really put us over the top if you're the Pistons off the bench, or if you're the Red Wings, that second line guy, maybe that third line center that can win a ton of draws. That's the guy you go get when you're like, I need one more piece to really make us a championship contending team. But they do it backwards. They go get those guys when they're terrible.
Yeah.
When they're a bad team. And that's
I don't know. See, I can't in terms of roster building, I don't really think you can compare NHL and NBA. It's almost impossible. You can't.
You can certainly compare that premise. Both of those sports, it's pretty easy to go out and get a guy that you overpay because he's a decent player. Yeah. But
Frans Nielsen is John Lure.
Yeah, no.
John Lure is Frans Nielsen.
No,
John Lure, when he played, there's a reason he made $10 million.
Frans Nielsen's better than John Lure.
John Lure's a pretty good player. Well, he was.
No, he's not.
Well, you didn't pay him $10 million. That was the market for him.
Yeah, but
I would have rather just paid Anthony Tolliver to come back.
Which they did anyway.
Which they went out and did this year.
And they're going to have to do again.
For vet minimum.
That's my point.
Oh, that's fine. Anthony Tolliver's fine. He's a good bench piece.
You didn't have to sign John Lure. You didn't have to sign Frans Nielsen. Those are guys that you could have not signed and played Joe Schmo and been bad on purpose.
Stan
you see what I'm saying?
Stan as a president, about the only thing he's been able to do well is identify players via trade. Free agency has not gone well, and the draft has not gone well.
Here's how you know the Pistons still aren't good. Eric Moreland gets minutes.
Yeah,
well,
a lot of minutes.
I mean that's do I need to say any more? You're trotting out guys off the bench like Eric Moreland and Dwight Bikes. Like that.
Well, Dwight Bikes actually has been fine.
It's just been.
Don't defend Bikes, Dave.
For what he is.
I'm going to defend Bikes.
For what he is, okay, whatever. He's been fine.
He's like a 15 man on the bench. He's not making shit.
I get
so who
that.
Cares?
I get that. But if you're supposed to be a contending team that went out and grabbed Blake Griffin to make a title run, and these are the guys you're trotting out on the floor.
Trust me, Stan can say all he wants. Stan did not get Blake for this year. He did not get him for this year. You can parade all you want.
Next
year. Wait a minute.
Yes.
How did he? Okay,
that's it. You got him for next year to save his job. That's it.
Okay, fine. Okay. I'll accept that. But what I won't accept is he went out and got him for some sort of future. There is no future. There is nobody. There is no money left. There's nowhere else to go. This is your roster. You can't go anywhere from here.
That's not true.
So how the hell do you get him for? How do you not get him?
That's not
for
true.
This
You're
year?
not up against the cap completely right now. It's going to keep going up, and You can also you're not realizing the fact that you think Tom Gores is an idiot, and maybe you're right, but he also is an idiot with a shit ton of money. And if he sees a player and Stan, I think he will eat Stan's jockstrap. So I think if Stan goes up to him and says, "Hey, we can go get this guy, but we got to go $2 million over the luxury tax," Gores is probably going to say, "All right, let's go ahead and do that."
But wait a minute.
I don't think that at all.
Go get one guy. Okay, so go get the second guy off the bench. That's
you're not going over the luxury tax for a bench guy.
That's still about all you're going to have enough money for.
Right now they have like $13 million in like the trade acceptance. Whatever.
Well, no, they have about $9 million in trade acceptance. The 5.2 thing was
no, and with John Lure,
but that comes off the books.
Oh, here you go. Let's go in the offseason and get Jamal Crawford. That'll make this team so much better.
I love me some Jamal.
Let's go. Great, but that's the type of player that you have that you may have room for.
Yeah, a guy
is that the guy that's going to put you over the hump?
A guy that makes $7 million. That's about what you got room for.
That's it.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't think that Gores wants to go over the cap. I'm pretty sure he's made it very clear to Stan not to go over the cap because it was a very solid talking point once the Blake Griffin trade was made about how they were still under the cap, and that's where Tom Gores wanted to be. And because if they wanted to, they could have went out and traded another, a pick.
We just form a fucking wall.
Picking a player and try to go get Kemba or try to go get somebody that was available.
You don't have enough. You had
Tyreek Evans.
You had no ammo for those guys. Huh? You have no. After you traded for Blake, you have no ammo for any other trade.
Picks. That's all you have because, like Dan says, you're not rebuilding through the draft.
Here's the problem, though. I do believe it's an NBA rule. You're not allowed to trade consecutive first-round picks.
What?
You're not allowed to trade consecutive first-round picks.
Also, here's the other part of this conversation. They did what they did for Blake because they view Blake as a cornerstone type of player. That's fine if your viewpoint is different. I'm not even, and I'm not going to even disagree with it. But that's how they view him. Okay.
Yes.
I do not think that Stan. Look, I think Kemba Walker's a good player. I don't think anybody is viewing him as a franchise player. I don't.
Who, Kemba?
Kemba Walker.
No, but you're putting him with Reggie and Andre and Blake Griffin to make a run.
Oh, you wouldn't
now.
You wouldn't be putting him with Reggie. You'd be getting rid of Reggie.
Yeah, you'd have to.
Reggie would probably be the player.
You would have to get rid of Reggie if you're getting Kemba Walker.
But he's better than Reggie.
That's fine.
Personally, I think he's better.
That's fine. But you're not giving up a first. You didn't even give up a first round pick for Reggie. You're not giving up a first round pick for Kemba after just giving up one for Blake.
Go get a guy like Tyreek Evans, who is available, who they were even talking about was available for a second-round pick at one point.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that's true because if that was the case, he would have been traded.
Tyreek is a absolute liability on the defensive end.
Yes,
dude can score.
Yeah, right. And so what you're looking at is those are players that when you pair them with the other guys you have, they'll put you over the luxury tax. Then you have 3 or 4 guys that are top-tier guys in the East that can go out and win you something now.
Right now.
Well, you have Reggie for next year,
and then you
draft a point guard in 2019.
What I'm trying to say is I don't think Gores wants anything to do with that. I think he wants to stay where he's at money-wise. He does not want to touch the cap.
Gores he's gonna trade. He's gonna give away that team anyway.
He's gonna sell it. You get to sit in the middle, which, in my opinion, is the worst place to be in any sport. Is sitting in the middle, just stagnant. Purgatory, sitting in the middle, where the Pistons have been basically since Stan got here. I enjoyed the Pistons more when they had John Lawyer heading up the team because you knew what they were. They were fucking terrible, and they had nowhere to go but up.
At least with the Tigers, we had to watch a bunch of 21-year-olds.
The Tigers, I can dig because the Tigers we know what they are.
Yep.
They're bad.
There's a direction.
They're not hamstrung by a salary cap, so even if you still have to sit here and pay an aging Miguel Cabrera for the next 14 years, you still have a way to get better.
Well, Chris Illich is a penny-pinching bitch, and he's not going to spend any money on that team.
Well, that'll be what's interesting to see.
He's not going to spend any money on that team. Even if the rebuild goes well and then they improve and they get to a point where they're, oh, hey, we need to go sign this one guy for third base. Whatever it is. I don't care what position.
If you do it right,
he ain't pulling up any money.
If you do it right, you can be the Astros. Yep. If you do it right, now you got to do it right. That's obviously something that seriously remains to be seen. But there are things you can look at the Tigers and go, okay, we have somewhere to go next. You can't do that with the Pistons. You can't do that with the Red Wings. You can kind of do that with the Lions at this point, now that we have a new regime in place. With the Pistons and Red Wings, it's just, we're just going to sit in the middle.
Sitting on your
and
hands.
There's going to be a lot of idiot fans out there that are going to continue to buy the tickets, that are going to continue to go to these overpriced games to watch a, at best, mediocre product for the next upcoming seasons. I don't know how long it's going to be. 2, 3, 5 more years. That's what we're going to have.
I mean, you might get, at least the Pistons have a shot to go to the playoffs and maybe win a series with a healthy Reggie and a healthy Blake Griffin and a healthy Andre Drummond. At least you have that. With the Red Wings, you got nothing. They're not going to the playoffs. If they squeak in, they're getting murdered. And then you're back to square one, and you're not going backwards because they're not getting rid of Holland.
You know what's funny about the Wings, too, is like I could sit here and say you should have just tried to tank, you know? But here's the problem. Because of the contract they've signed, they literally can't even do that.
No. It wouldn't even matter.
Because you can't, I don't know what the rule is. I mean, I guess theoretically speaking, you could put a bunch of older guys on waivers in some Grand Rapids. I suppose you could do that because nobody's going to pick them up. That'd be about the only way you could try to feasibly do that.
More veterans than you have young guys,
but
and the veterans aren't trying to lose, or the veterans are just a little too good to lose, and
to lose enough.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You're like that's the same with the Pistons. Like at least with Blake Griffin, he's a tradable asset. So is Andre Drummond, and so is Reggie Jackson probably.
But here's the thing. I don't know how much longer Blake Griffin is a tradable asset. First of all, because he's got injury problems.
Okay.
That's number one.
He's had a couple of freak injuries, actually.
Right now, of course, he's a tradable asset.
Yes.
But he's a guy who just signed a 5-year contract.
Yeah.
Okay, by the time you're ready to trade him, how tradable will he be at that point?
You can trade him next year.
You better do it quick if you're going to do it, is all I'm saying.
I mean, that's I don't know. That's you're playing the odds that he's getting worse at a ridiculous rate or that he's guaranteed to get hurt and be out for large chunks.
I actually think that Blake Griffin's style of play now, as opposed to when he first came in the league, when he was just that athletic, freakish player that was just dunking all over everybody, I think Blake Griffin's style of play now and the way he plays the game actually will age really well.
Yeah.
I truly do.
And I just hate the idea that's like, you look at him, people are like, yeah, he's getting older, he's 28 or whatever, and by the end of the contract, he's going to be 33. Well, so is fucking Steph Curry. No one says a word about how old Steph Curry is.
And here's the other thing, how much...
And he's had
Steph Curry's also one of the 3 best players in the league. Blake Griffin's not.
One of the best shooters.
He's had injury issues as well. I mean, it's hard to say.
Steph Curry has not missed a considerable amount of time in his career at any point.
How much has Blake Griffin missed? Like full season? Half a season?
Well,
he missed. I think he missed like the majority of his rookie year.
We were just looking at
tore his
this.
ACL or
he
something.
gets banged up, then he gets banged up. A lot of big guys get banged up.
He's missed. I think he's. We just looked at this. How many games he's played?
I don't remember. It's not
over the
important.
past 5 seasons.
It doesn't matter.
And he's missed a lot of games.
He's missed some games. But here's the thing. We've watched him now for what are we going on? 6 or 7 games now.
8 games. They're 5-3.
Since the trade, not with him in the lineup.
They're 5-3 with him in the lineup. Yes, they won their first 5 games and then they lost.
They
3
won
straight.
the first 5 games post trade.
They're 4-3.
4-3 with him in the lineup. Because the first post, the first post
they beat
trade
the Cavs.
game.
5 games. I got you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, we've all watched some games now. We've all watched a handful of games with Blake Griffin on the Pistons, right? Other than yesterday, who, well, like I said, was a terrible game. He played very poorly. Other than that, I think he's played pretty well since he got here.
He's been about as expected.
He's been about as you thought he would be. In fact, he actually might have, even with his numbers, one of the things he has done really poorly with is his shooting has actually been really bad. I'm not just talking 3-point. His 3-point shooting has been really bad since he got here. But his shooting percentage in general has been really poor since he got to Detroit. And I don't think that's a stat that's going to continue to be that way because that's not how his career has been. But anyway, you look at what he's done, and you look at the way he's playing since he got here. And again, I do want to take everything into account. He's on a new team. They're still working out the kinks of where he fits best and how to best get him the ball in the post and all that stuff. But you look at the way he's playing the game, and you remember what he looked like when he came in the league, does it look like he's a guy that's relying on his athleticism to do things? Not really. No. He's a much more cerebral. Actually, getting a chance to watch him up close now, he's a much more cerebral player than I realized he was, and that's
great.
And the style of play that he has brought here, and the style of play that I'm watching him, put forth, is why I really truly believe his game will age well.
As an individual player, I don't really have that much to complain about in the 7 games that we've watched. As a team, I still have plenty to complain about.
Sure, and that's fine. but that doesn't make the trade a bad trade.
No, I'm just waiting.
That doesn't make the trade a bad trade. What makes the trade a bad trade is what you have to look forward to, which is absolutely nothing outside of maybe a playoff appearance or two in Blake Griffin's tenure here.
Well, we're going to disagree on this all day. And that's fine.
I just want to play out
because I want to see what this team is with Reggie. And you can disagree all day long that Reggie won't make a big difference, but I really think he does. It's a completely different player.
I will say I was wrong about one thing.
It's a completely different player than what the Pistons have right now.
With regards to the Blake Griffin trade, I was wrong about one thing. At least so far in the 7 games that we've seen, Andre looks better.
Yeah,
he does.
I thought he was going to suffer.
He does.
I think
he can't hit a hook shot for the fucking life of him, but that has nothing to do with Blake Griffin.
But again, who knows? It's been 7 games. It's been a handful of games.
Once Reggie gets on the floor, can space it and shoot from the outside, unlike Ish.
No,
then we'll see a whole new different.
What offense. I was going
to say, I'm not trying to put everything on him, but I agree. Ish is a really big lineup gap right now.
Can't shoot a 3. The farthest you can shoot out 17 feet. Before
we go, do we want to talk about your basketball team, Dave?
Sure.
Michigan State.
Talk a little bit about
it. So they beat a team that I think could arguably be the best team in the country.
That's a great basketball game.
In Purdue.
It's a great basketball game.
7-footers like that, of course.
And then is it ESPN that puts this fucking thing out?
Yes.
They put out this damn thing where they rank the tournament teams, right? Mm-hmm. From 1 to 16.
The top 16 seeds all through, yes.
No, I think that was the NCAA.
Is that what it was?
It was the NCAA that put that.
This is so asinine because I look at this thing and I go, well, then what's the hell's the point of the AP and the coaches?
There's not one. All right, so some kid at my work today is like, hey, man, did you see the new rankings? I haven't seen them yet for Michigan State. And I'm like, no, but they come out normally Sunday. I go, the coaches got them still at 4, I believe. And then he goes, but I go, here's the rankings. And I'm on the college basketball website, like the NCAA website. I go, well, here's the rankings for the tourney. I go, they're a 3 seed, number 11. Have fun. And he goes, he's like, what the fuck? And then he goes, yeah, check it out, man. We got moved up into the AP poll. I go, cool. Do you know how much these rankings matter? None. Still got the Big Ten championship to go. And guess what? Doesn't matter aside. The only rankings that matter are the fucking tournament rankings, the bracket rankings. So I go, who cares if they're number 2 in the country? That means nothing.
Spartans! What is your profession?
Do I agree? Yeah, they're probably the second best team in the country, or like the 3rd best team.
They're definitely a top 5 team.
I think on any given day, Purdue could beat them. So it's not that.
If you're asking me right now, do I think Michigan State should be a 1 seed? I would say yes.
Yeah, I agree.
And I don't know that I would have said that 3 weeks ago.
No,
but that's the beauty of college basketball. Yeah. That shit changes in a flash. What was it when we had Schuling on talking about the Nassar thing? Michigan State was coming off that awful week where they had lost to Michigan, they lost to Ohio State, which
almost lost to Rutgers.
Yeah. And then Ohio State loss, not turning out to be nearly as bad as it would have looked.
No, Ohio State is a way better basketball team than anybody thought they were going to be coming into the year. And
I think Michigan's better than anybody thought they were going to be.
That's true. But Michigan, I don't
think
Michigan...
Except for Jeff, because he thinks they're going to win national championship.
Ohio State had a terrible year last year, and they lost a bunch of... There was a lot of shit going on with Ohio State. At least Michigan...
That whole Thad Matta fiasco.
At least Michigan was, still under the same leadership. There was not a lot of turmoil. They lost a couple pieces, sure. But they weren't going to have some sort of horrible roster turnover, and they didn't have a new coach, and they didn't have all that stuff to deal with.
Their question was what was going to happen at the point guard spot.
And so far, the point guard spot
we still really don't know.
Yeah. Right. Which, again, I think could be a detriment come tournament time.
The biggest problem, just a little tangent about Michigan, the biggest thing that makes me nervous about Michigan going forward as far as what they could do in the tournament, Dude, they got to make some fucking free throws.
Yeah, they're terrible free throw shooters.
And that's a big problem come
when your
tournament
point
time.
guard shooting 52%.
Well, and that's the thing is you got a couple of guys that are decent free throw shooters. Obviously, Mo Wagner being one of them.
But Rockman.
Yeah. But you know how the game works when it's a close game. Everybody that sucks at free throws is going to be the ones that are going to get fouled.
Tournament time, you got to make your free throws.
And you got
for the
freshmen.
tournament.
And you know who really shocks me is Matthews. Why is he such a bad free throw shooter?
That's a good question.
That is weird.
It doesn't. I would like to look at his.
No, he shoots like 80%, I think.
Oh, I thought he was way further down.
It doesn't feel like he does, though, does it?
He shoots like 80%. Yeah,
no, I thought he was way down.
He actually,
but down the stretch, how does he shoot? I'd love to see his free throw numbers in the last 3 minutes of a basketball game.
That's a fun statistic.
I definitely think his numbers have dropped.
Who's the basketball nerd that's got that somewhere? Somebody's got to have it.
The best guy on the team is Rockman, who was shooting.
Yeah, he's really good.
He was shooting like 90%, but that was a few games ago. I'm pretty sure he's dropped down a little bit.
And Wagner's what, 80?
Yeah, around
82. Something like that.
For a big man, you'll take
fine.
that.
He's fine. Yeah, he's good.
I mean, DJ Wilson, what the fuck was wrong with you? You should have stayed.
Should have stayed. He's not getting any playing time.
You'd be talking. They'd have a shot to win the Big Ten and play for an national.
He's the same. For me. I view his leaving
typical Michigan
the same way that I view Deontay Davis. I'm like, why would you leave?
Why would you leave?
Why would you not spend? Now, granted, obviously DJ would have been coming back for his senior year. Deontay just for a sophomore season. But why would you leave? What is your point? You're not getting drafted. Although DJ wound up getting drafted way higher than I thought he would.
How about your boy Miles Bridges showing some leadership? Finally?
Well, Miles finally had what I would consider his actual first true signature moment at MSU. It was a big shot. Look, and that's that. And I mean, he said it himself. And that was kind of the first thing that I thought when it happened. It was like those are the moments, those are the plays that he came back to school for.
Yeah.
Those big games where he's going to be the guy and have the ball in his hands, and win or lose, fail or succeed, however you want to put it. He was going to be the guy with the ball in his hands, and you were going to put it on his back. And that's that. When you have a guy with his capabilities, that's exactly what you're supposed to expect. That he's going to take that big moment and run with it. And goddamn, was that a huge shot? And that wasn't like a toes close to the line through. I mean, he shot that thing from pretty far back. And nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. So, no, it was exciting, man. That was an incredible basketball game. It really was. Purdue is a really good basketball team.
It might be the best team in the country.
They're a really good basketball team. Haas is such a freaking load on the block, dude. I want to...
But you know what Michigan State did? Michigan State took a page out of Michigan's playbook when they played Purdue a couple of times, because what a lot of teams do is they're double teaming Haas
and letting
the shooters drop threes. Michigan didn't do that. Almost beat Purdue the first time. Should have beaten them the second time for sure.
He said Haas get his,
and Izzo said it 100%. He's like, we're going to let him get his shots.
Yep.
And then you just Michigan does what Michigan does, and like we're going to outshoot you from three.
And Michigan State did the same thing against him. They didn't double team him. They let him get his points. He's going to get his points because he's a fucking monster.
And we're just going to outshoot you on the outsides.
I'll tell you what. Jaren Jackson had maybe his worst game as a Spartan against Purdue, which was not necessarily that horribly unexpected because it's a team with a lot of bigs.
You're going to get it in a win against a really good team.
Yeah.
That's a good.
I'll tell you my unheralded almost MVP of the game, and it really comes down to like the last 4 to 5 minutes of the basketball game. Gavin Schilling did an unbelievable job on Haas.
See what Dockett said?
He really did.
No. Doesn't have any game.
On who?
He said that about Gavin Schilling.
No, dude. Schilling did so well defensively against Haas, and quite honestly,
fucking Dockett.
So you're an official.
You're starting Ward and Jackson up front, as Michigan State starts those two guys, which makes sense. And against almost any other team in the country, it's going to be an incredibly dominant starting front court. You got two guys that can score on the block. You got two guys that are athletic. Two guys that are just really good basketball players.
Teddy Valentine wasn't officiating.
No, he wasn't.
Was he?
No.
But
Teddy, he would have made sure the Spartans lost.
As good as Jackson is defensively, he's nowhere near strong enough to body with Haas. And Ward has not been and is still not a great defender. He's a good rebounder, obviously really good on the post, but you can push him down on the block if you're a good post player, and Haas is a very good post player. Gavin Schilling is one of those guys who he came into Michigan State with actually a decent amount of hype, never really proved to be the offensive threat that I thought he could be because he's a good athlete, but he's always been good defensively. And he's probably the best defensive big man that Michigan State has. And a lot of it has to do with the fact he's really good laterally with his feet. He moves really well on the block. And goddamn, was that fun. In a game like that, it is fun to watch a defensive battle. And it's funny. I think it was like the last shot Haas took. I'm sitting there, me and Kristen are watching the game, and it was like 3 trips in a row. Haas he started on the outside part of the paint, and he moved in, and he got right to the center and did that front facing hook, and he nailed it every time because when he got to the center and front facing the basket, it was just money. It was it was money in the bank for him. But as soon as the last possession that Purdue had, I'm watching and I'm looking at Chris and I'm like, he has to force him to stay outside. He can't let him get to the center. And Schilling moved around him, forced Haas to go into a spot he wasn't comfortable with. And what happened? He still tried the hook shot, but because he got pushed out and wasn't in front of the hoop, he missed it. And States gets the rebound, and that's when they come out. They call the timeout. They come down, and Miles Bridges hits his big shot. So it was a great defensive possession.
We had I think when we had Ryan on before, we had talked about the Nassar debacle, which, by the way, isn't over. We haven't given up on that. It's just a
little quiet.
It's just a little bit of a lull right now. Don't worry, we'll get back to it.
He's in Arizona now.
Yeah, for real. But when we were talking about the basketball team, and I had asked him, "Why is this a typical early January Izzo lull?" They're coming out on the other side of the bell curve now, aren't they? As they so often do.
Yep.
Should be a 1 seed. I'm going to be.
What
do they got to do to ensure that shit?
Win the Big Ten.
They got to win. They got to win the Big Ten championship for sure,
and make at least a nice run in a tournament.
Yeah.
Which
they could do it the other way.
Do you mean the Big Ten tournament championship or the Big Ten regular season title?
Either way,
win out or win out.
They don't need to have them both.
I don't think they need to have them both.
But I do think they've got to at least
you win the Big Ten championship and you go 2 rounds into the Big Ten tourney. You're good.
I think
if you miss out by like a game on the Big Ten championship and you go out and win the tourney, I think you're 1 seed either way.
I think they've got to win the Big Ten championship and get to the championship game in the Big Ten tournament.
Here's the biggest problem that I have with the current ranking. And again, look, there's still a lot of time to go, technically speaking, for these seedings. And so a lot of things can change. But the thing that I find crazy is not only in this initial ranking is Michigan State a 3 seed, which I think is insane.
Yeah.
They're the third if you look at it from a 1 through 16 ranking as they're doing here. So technically you're 1 through 4 is your 1 seeds, 5 through 8. So they're number 11. Yeah. They're the third ranked 4 seed out of the third ranked 3 seed out of the 3 seed. That makes no sense. It makes no fucking sense.
I would say all Michigan State fans don't give a fuck about any of these rankings right now. Don't worry.
They don't. They know what happens.
Trust me, I know this is not how it's going to finish, but it's just so asinine.
And you all know what happens when March comes.
Yep.
Well, let's just go to March.
I will say this:
it's like college football rankings in Week 7.
You might think I'm weird. You might think I'm weird, but if I had to choose, as much as it's slightly aggravating that Michigan State is ranked this low this early, I would rather be a 3 seed than a 2 seed. Is that weird of me?
No.
Because 13 over 3 upsets do not happen anywhere near as frequently as 15 over 2s. And 16 seeds don't ever beat 1 seed. So I would rather be a 1, obviously. That's the ultimate goal. But if I'm not a 1, I almost would rather be a 3. Because right now they have them in Virginia's region. And I look at the region they've put together there, and I think Michigan State would sit really well, actually.
Yeah, when you consider the history.
Well, all right. And as a 3 seed, they're going to come in with a chip on the shoulder. They're going to be pissed off.
Stuff coming up.
We've got to terminate this podcast.
Show.
I think Michigan's going to be about 6 or 7.
Yeah,
which is fine because I don't think I expect them to be that high when the season started,
depending on what they do in the tournament, they could be as high as a 4.
And they go out and win that thing again.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to do that.
Got to crash another plane first.
Yeah, they're missing that senior leadership at point guard.
I'll be diving out in front of that plane on the runway, hoping it skids.
Shoot out the tire.
Well, Jeff won't be here Thursday.
No, I won't.
I don't know what we're going to do Thursday. We should still have a show, but be prepared for us not to have one, just in case. I'm preparing to have one, but who knows? I got a busy week.
Really hedge your bets on that.
I did a little bit. I'm just trying to.
All right.
Just trying to prepare. All right. You've been listening to Out of Bounds Detroit Sports. David Faze, Jeff Mel, Mike Tripp, and myself, Dan Griffin. SportsRadioDetroit.com. And with that, we are out of here.
Your mind is gone, your brain is glazed. You've been wide awake for the last 3 days, popping pills. It goes down for real. Don't stop, just keep rolling downhill. Crash and burn, can't stand, fall back.